Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Y'all are brewheads? Yeah, we brewheads. So pour a glass of craft beer, we can do this. Yeah.
What's good, y'all? This is C-Certified Brewhead, and welcome to episode 236 of Beer and Other Shit, the podcast Adjunct series. Ladies and gentlemen, it kind of feels like not that long ago. We were just in Western New York out here in Buffalo. We're heading right on back, goddammit. So, as I might have said in the Hofbrau episode, if y'all check that out, Western New York is now the new Vermont to us as far as the closest region to where I'm living by the border. And I've been really exploring generally across Buffalo and Rochester and kind of surrounds Finger Lakes and stuff over the last 3 years. And I've just been so impressed with everything. And I've been slowly like connecting with more and more people out there, quite organically, to be honest, and this example is exactly that. This is a brewery that I went to right before I went to Australia, so in February. And shout out to my friend Jared from Mortalis. He put them on my radar like when I first moved here, like 2022, 2023, when I was asking him, tell me about Buffalo and Rochester, what's good, what's on my list. And he told me about this brewery, and it was always just a little bit further from like Lewiston when we like started to, when we pull up, go to the border, go to the my address, my PO box there. And when we went just before Australia, we were at Hofbrau getting the beer for the pod, and it was like 15 minutes from there. I'm like, sick, they got food, everything's like, that's perfect. Went down. Tiffany and I were absolutely blown away with the space, with the beers, with the food, everything about it. And this was a beautiful day where, well, arguably beautiful, where it was snowing, and because of their massive windows, which we're going to talk all about, it was just like, felt like being in a Christmas cottage or cottage at Christmas time, and it was so amazing. So I reached out to the team on social to get them on the pod. Here we are. So I'm super excited, and we went back to get the beers last week and got to hang out, have more food. I'm just even more impressed. And after I had posted, I had multiple people either message me or comment on the post saying how sick this brewery is. So clearly people know what's up. I'm excited to get into it. We got a wicked beer lineup and a lot of fun stories. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me get this as clean as possible, please. Oh, shoot. There it is. Please welcome PJ from Wayland in the building. There he is. Oh, that's quiet. Boom. Brother, thank you for joining us, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Man, glad, like I said, really glad to connect. Couldn't be more of a fan of what you're doing, from the beer to the space to the food. It's just exquisite, man. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out and yap. This is awesome.
Yeah, well, looking forward to it. And I have access to the Instagram, but I wasn't the first one to see it when you guys messaged us, but it quickly got forwarded to me. I was like, hell yeah, I'll do it. And I maybe I shouldn't say this, but I wasn't familiar with you guys. But when I saw it, I like went through the social media and I've checked out some of your podcasts and stuff. And I was like, oh, hell yeah, this is great. Like, this will be really fun. And then getting to meet you guys when you stopped down last Friday was, just had a great time talking with you guys. Really had to peel myself away because I had other engagements. I got to stay there and talk to your ear off for a while. So now we'll pick it up here.
I love it, man. And thank you for checking it out. And that's good feedback, though, because that shows that we have some work to do in the region. And that's what part of what we're doing tonight is really like putting that stamp. And we had a fantastic convo. We have so many friends in common. We realized you are one of the few people, I was just saying off air, that you and Will Cleveland, who were two people from Western New York who are very tapped into the Canadian scene. You know a lot of people out there. You're very like up on it. You go there a bunch. And I just thought that's, I didn't expect that. I thought that's super, super dope. So I'm excited to just chat about that and get people excited about coming down, people up here who don't know about guys.
Yeah. And so, it's I don't know, I've always, since I've lived in Western New York, which I'm not a native, but I've been here a while, I've always made like frequent trips across the border, and enough so that I got a Nexus a while back, and I've even renewed it. So I'm back and forth a lot, and a lot of times it's for live music in Toronto or Hamilton, but I also have made it a point to get some breweries and have gotten to know some folks in the industry over there. So yeah.
Love it. I really genuinely love it. So, dude, you curated a fire lineup of beer, which is would you say that what we're doing tonight is a pretty, from what I could tell, it feels like a really good like snapshot of what Wayland does?
Yeah, and that was pretty intentional, right? I picked through our cold box and what we had available, and fortunately, like, we're in a pretty good rhythm right now, and we're turning over batches pretty quickly.
Nice.
We are in the midst of a little bit of growth right now, so everything is pretty fresh. I'm feeling really good about everything. But yeah, I think it's pretty representative of what we do, and that would be modern, North American hoppy stuff and classic lagers. We do some stuff on the fringes of that, but that's the majority of what we do and what the focus is.
Amazing. That was my take on it without you telling me that, based on the menu, based on what I'm seeing online and what I tried there. That was kind of the vibe. So I'm glad that was the thing. I want to ask really quick: is it Wayland or Wayland?
Good question.
I
I think in that regard, it's whatever you want it to be. But
okay, good.
that kind of goes back to the name. There is a town of Wayland in the state of New York, but it's a good, I don't know, hour and 45 minutes from where we're located.
Okay.
And it's far enough from Buffalo that we don't get confused with it in Buffalo. But it's funny, if we do a festival in Rochester or something, everybody's like, where in Wayland are you? It's like, oh, we're not.
I haven't seen it.
We're in Buffalo.
Okay.
But no, so we kind of the where the name came from. Part of it was we didn't want to be offensive to anybody, but we wanted it to be kind of something we could become, and it was kind of whatever it meant to people who came there. So I guess I'm not a stickler on the pronunciation, because there is no proper pronunciation, and we're just Wayland. So I say Wayland, but if you said Wayland, it wouldn't give me any pause.
Okay, amazing. Thank you for clarifying. It's only because one of the beers, the way you pronounce the name of that beer was Wayland. And in it, and I was like, oh, fuck, have I been saying it wrong? Because I've been saying
I have a long list of yet to be used beer names, and there are a few where I play with that. And there's one that's like Way, Weigh, Lend. And we played with it once before, early when we first started telling people the name. People would say Wayland, like Waylon Jennings, who was a country singer. And I'd say no, but we did make a beer at one point called Jennings. So we had Waylon Jennings. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, good. So we're on the same page. Just wanted to make sure as well, because I imagine maybe some other folks would. Because when I introduced it, I was like, oh, shit, did I? Yeah. So, dude, you, like I said, you created a sick lineup, and we're going to kick off with this little gem right here, which is the perfect one, which is the, here we go, Especial Mexican Lager at 4%. I like this here as well. I just noticed this, the lime wedge optional. Very cool.
Yep. Yeah, and we're actually working on a version of this that'll be infused with lime. That we actually just brewed today. So yeah.
Ready for the summer or the slightly warmer season?
It will be, yeah.
Beautiful. Now, is this tell me about this beer, bro? This is is this a year-rounder? Is this a seasonal?
Yeah, it has become a year-rounder. It was not initially. It was something that we felt fit a place on our draft board in the warmer months. And Wayland has, and I'm sure we'll get into the facility, but Wayland has a very large courtyard and big open area, a lot of good, sunlight. And on a nice warm day, that place is pretty warm. And when we have that excess of people coming in, we start to turn over some of our batches pretty quickly. So Especial initially was something that we made that we felt was really high quality and fit what we did, but was really meant to like kind of take some of the pressure off of like our German pills, which we wanted to give longer time lagering, and we were feeling pressure to turn it faster. So
yeah, dude. You didn't have to stop talking when I'm doing this shit.
Okay.
You're good, bro. I'm listening I should have probably warned you when I'm fucking around doing all this. I'm listening to every word. Apologies.
Yeah, so the can says Mexican lager, but I think it'd be fair to call it an American light lager.
Okay.
It is mostly barley, and I can get more specific on that if you'd like, but there's a little bit of a flaked corn product in it, which is traditional for that style of beer. It's a very small amount. And then it's all a classic, but not a big name German hop that we use in it.
Okay.
And then fermented. Cool. This is probably a 4 or 5 week beer most of the time. If we can give it longer, we will. But it is kind of designed to be able to turn quicker, whereas our like German pills is like strictly 6 weeks minimum.
Gotcha. Now, is this like 4 weeks? 3, 2?
Yeah, 4 to 5.
4 to 5?
If we can give it 4 is probably the minimum. If I can give it longer in the lagering stage, I will, but I don't always have the ability.
Totally get it, brother. Cheers. Great to see you.
Cheers. Thanks.
Oh, the great nose though. It kind of doesn't really like smell like an American light lager. I guess
No, it does.
malt bill.
Yeah, I think your traditional American light would have probably a much higher percentage of corn than this has. Um, we're mostly using it to lighten it up, not
Right.
necessarily for character. So the character in there is mostly Pilsner malt. There's a bit of Vienna in it,
Okay.
but yeah,
And Pilsner and Vienna malt along with the flaked corn.
yep, you got it.
Okay.
Yeah, flaked maize. We're using
Maize.
Crisp is the maltster providing that one.
Okay, that's sick. Is that flaked maize and flaked corn? Excuse my ignorance. Is that are they much different, or is it just
That's a great question that I don't know the answer to. I know corn and maize are of the same family and they are indigenous to North America. And Crisp is a European maltster, so maybe the more maize type is what grows better in the continental
gotcha?
Europe. I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
Or maybe it is corn and they just call it maize. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if it was like just like some variety or like an old kind of word for it or something like that that's
Yeah.
carried across. Yeah.
There are some other more interesting domestic products that I'm interested in, but haven't dabbled with yet for this beer. But there's some like really interesting malted corn that I've seen out there from small batch maltsters, and there's some cool stuff I'd like to play with. I'm just not there yet.
Yeah, totally. And I guess it's like it's a little risky sometimes is when you're playing with the local stuff because maybe it's not always as consistent. And if
Hmm.
you've got a year rounder like this that people now have an expectation for, if you do mess with it, I guess there's probably a testing phase of sorts so that you get the same SRM and output and everything.
Yeah, we do not currently have a pilot system. So, a beer this small, it's a 20 barrel brew house. The smallest turn of this specific beer I could do is probably like 12 barrels. Just
Okay.
if you go beyond that, the diameter of the lauter ton and the bed depth gets such that like it's kind of not brewable. So
Mhm.
yeah, for a small beer like this, a pilot batch would be like 12 barrels, which it's a bit much to just send it.
So, so what would you do if you get your hands on the local stuff? What's the best approach? Do you do like
Uh
a variant first to see?
yeah, but maybe I mean we'd probably do some sensory. I would talk to the supplier and just try to get a better, even just anecdotally, like, what it does, how it presents, how to utilize it in the brew house.
Okay.
Um, But we do have my old home brewing rig, but it hasn't been touched in a while. And that could be done. It has been done in the past. I do hope longer term there's maybe like a 5 to 7 barrel pilot system in our future, which would be great for proving out concepts
That
like
would be
that.
cool. Yeah. I don't know why this topic comes up a lot on the pod, being, I would argue, probably because so many breweries everywhere, regardless of where you're at, are trying to stick to local ingredients more, I guess, based on, I feel like the conversation came up more after the tariff situation where there's just a bit more
Yeah,
things to consider.
yeah.
And I had never thought to ask about the testing period because I guess I would just assume that would mostly be put into a most now I'm thinking just sort of really quickly in my head all the different folks who have brought it up. I feel like it's mostly in sort of maybe one-offs as opposed to
Hmm.
like core flagship, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, one that I know, and I don't know them personally, but I'm sure you're familiar with Suarez.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, excellent
yeah.
stuff. I believe so. One of their loggers, it's qualify, and I
Yes.
believe the concept of that is he is qualifying ingredients. He is testing ingredients in that beer to see where they have
Mm.
utility elsewhere in his lineup or whatever. So I think that's kind of what qualify is, if I'm not mistaken.
Huh.
But then like Palatine, his core pills like that, it's Palatine. That doesn't. But qualify, he's always trying new hops and malts in it, I believe.
That's a really smart way to do it. I mean, I've seen that obviously with single hop beers and things like that, different like
Sure.
series where people mess around with different things. But with specifically with testing out, like, did you test everything or just malts?
I think it's everything. I believe it's
Everything as
everything.
well. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess for you would have to do like like an Especial variant or something because you'd have to know if you can drill it down to this. But even then,
Yeah.
I've heard that it's sometimes even inconsistent where you get this batch from the local guy. Not to ever disparage the local ones, but it's just the same as craft brewing. Not every batch is going to be 100% identical. It's
Yeah, and there's like we're small enough that I think we can do that, and I think customers would understand that. We're relatively small. We're quite local. We do distribute, but not much outside of our own county. So
okay.
I think and our beer is usually fresh because it goes really fast. And we're making it as best and quick as we can. But yeah, I think we would have some goodwill and kind of flexibility in our customers to like try new things like that. Certainly,
Mm,
if we try something and it's not good, we're not going to put it out there. But I haven't faced that yet.
okay.
But I think part of that is just doing research and understanding what you're getting into before you try to do something with it.
Yeah. Which I guess, yeah, the research and the testing is sort of like until you get the pilot, it's probably a little tough because you'd have to kind of like crush fingers and just hope it works.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
which is not optimal with 12 barrels. Yeah.
No, or even 20. But
Yeah, or even 20. Yeah, shit.
yeah, we'll see. I think something like that will come down the line for us. Nothing immediately in the plans, but I
Gotcha.
think that'll become important for us.
Absolutely. Love to hear it. So, PJ, let's talk about your beer history, brother. I'd love to hear
Yeah.
how you personally, I think we talked about this a bit in person, but let's double click on that. Love to get how you got into beer and then just talk us through your career until, and how the brewery opened and came about.
Sure, yeah, and I'm not sure. I think my story is kind of typical, but also maybe a little bit different. Maybe how late in the game I kind of got into it professionally or full time. So uh, I am originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania,
Hey, shout out.
and yeah, still love Pittsburgh. And have some great friends down there still. But my family moved to Rochester, New York, when I was 11 or 12. So it's a middle school, high
Hmm.
school, and college in that area. I went to a state university about 30 miles south of Rochester called Geneseo,
Hmm.
which was a great school. I was a competitive swimmer there all 4 years. I have a business degree. But my junior and senior year, I started bouncing at a bar. It's called the Idle Hour. And I'm almost 20 years, yeah, to this year's 20 years since I graduated. Um, it is, I believe, the only bar left from when I was a student there.
Damn,
So it's
that's
maybe
rough.
because they were doing something right. I don't know. But they
Yeah.
had, I was just bouncing there. I never bartended, but I always got a shift beer. And they had some kind of early craft beer. So this is like 05, 06. I was working there. And they had Otter Creek and Magic Hat
Oh,
and
nice. All the good tea
uh,
stuff.
yep, they always had like Boulder Mojo Rising. They had Blue Point before they were acquired by one of the big guys. They had,
Mm.
I mean, they would have like Guinness. They had a lot of Southern Tier. I remember the owner, Southern Tier Porter was his thing, and they were in the cooler, and I was like, you don't touch those. Those are Craig's. But so I hung out there, and yeah, every shift I would look forward to trying whatever craft beer was new and on the lines that week. And some of my housemates, I actually lived 2 doors up from the bar when I worked there, which was convenient. Um, but some of my housemates were into it too. So we would occasionally like get a more interesting 6 pack from Wegmans, our local grocery chain here, and try some good new stuff. But then once I graduated, I lived in Rochester for one more year, and there was a store just recently closed, unfortunately, called Beers of the World that had a huge selection. And I believe you had to buy a whole case, but it wasn't a whole case of one thing, but it wasn't a bottle shop. So you could like
Oh.
mix and match 6 packs. So my dad, brother, and I would go and pick out 4 6 packs to make a case, buy it and drink it for the next couple weeks and just enjoy it, check it out. They were into it too. I wound up moving to Pittsburgh for a job, back to Pittsburgh, which was both a good time in my life, but the job that I had at the time was not what I wanted to be doing, and it wasn't a great time. I was a sales rep for a big company, and it wasn't a great experience. But I was going out in the evenings with a couple of buddies, and we would go to a couple of good craft beer bars, and again, we're trying new stuff. And I remember at that time they had a lot of Dogfish, the 60 and 90 minute.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I Bell's Two Hearted Ale, it was like, oh, holy shit. Um, and I was really enjoyed Dale's Pale Ale back then, which I still like all of those beers, but these
Classics.
were kind of, yeah, classics for me too. There
Was
was a
this like
really,
late 2000s, early 2000s
yeah, this
to
would have been
2010,
like
sorry?
'08 to 2010, something like that.
Okay. Yes.
There was a great chain in Pittsburgh at the time called the Sharp Edge,
Mm.
and a lot of Belgian and European stuff. And my now wife and I were dating and living together at the time, and we would go to that place a lot. And they did a lot of Belgian kind of food, and they had the proper glassware for everything. So if you ordered, whatever, you got it in the right
Chimay.
glassware. Yep. Yeah, all of it. And I believe those are all gone now. I don't know what happened there. That's a bummer. They were
Damn.
a great spot. But so anyways, I was pretty miserable in my day job. But I had a customer, a guy I worked with who lived in my neighborhood. We would hang out and get beers once in a while. And he said, "You ever try home brewing? You should, you're pretty into this. You should check it out. I've been doing it. It's fun." So that year, it was probably my 23rd or 24th birthday. My folks asked what I wanted as a birthday gift, and I said maybe a home brewing kit. And my dad was like, "Oh hell yeah!" So, which he had done it in the 70s. So the first thing I brewed was like a nut brown. Wasn't good. That's a classic story. Bad first home brew.
Of
Then the
course.
next one I remember was kind of like a Dale's Pale Ale clone, and it was actually pretty good. It didn't taste like Dale's. It was like way more amber and malty, but it was good.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, I got pretty into it. I kind of dabbled for a couple of years, but then I moved to Buffalo in 2011 or 12. Lived on the west side of Buffalo, had a pretty cool apartment in a good area, and I didn't really know many people here, so I joined a homebrewing club to make friends, which I did. And then I'm not sure what exactly happened, but I just got more serious about it, and I started really just like consuming every book and podcast, and was reading blogs, and I had my own blog for a little bit, and I was just brewing as much as I could, really just for myself, and got to know some guys that then opened a brewery that was Community Beer Works,
Oh
that
yeah.
opened right around 2012, and they're still around.
Mm.
And then one of those guys branched off and helped open Thin Man, and this has been 15, 16,
Okay.
and I wound up moonlighting there for about 3 years. And it was a lot of tank and keg washing. I was not the brain or the creative engine behind the thing by any means, but I was there and I was doing it, and I really enjoyed it. Uh, but then 2015, my wife and I had our first child, our daughter, and I kept doing it. But 2018, when our son was born, I kind of felt like that I had gotten it out of my system, that I had learned what I was going to learn. I wanted to open a brewery, but I didn't see a path to doing that. So,
Hmm.
I stepped back from Thin Man. I don't think I ever actually quit, and I certainly didn't get fired. And Rudy and I, who was my boss at the time, are still good friends. But I just kind of faded away. Um, but I had a career type gig that I was doing as well. And then I thought that was it. I thought it was done, and I was fine with that. But then my now business partner, who was an acquaintance at the time, reached out, and he knew that I had aspirations of opening a brewery. We weren't in regular contact, but reached out and said, "Hey, some of my partners and I are thinking about doing a brewery. Do you want to come meet with us?" I said, "Yeah, sure." And he was a guy that I liked and respected, so went and sat down with him, and uh, I could condense this all down really quickly. Be like, we had some meetings, and we opened a brewery, but it was really like 2 or 3 years of just kind of loosely kicking ideas around before it kind of formalized. And then
How
it
far in were
was,
they when they brought? Sorry to cut you off there, bro. When they brought you in for that original meeting, like how deep in were they as far as the concept, or they were like brewery and that was kind of it, and you make beer, like
yeah, brewery and beer.
yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah, so it kind of went from there. And actually now you've been to Wayland.
Yep,
It's a big place. It was a ambitious
it's not
startup
small.
brewery. Now my partners have, a lot of experience operating restaurants. Um, so we kind of had that expertise and backbone built in,
Okay,
but it was a pretty ambitious startup plan. But that isn't what we started with. What we started with, it was going to be a 10 barrel system. We would use a mobile canner and do like cool gourmet hot dogs. Like that was the initial concept. And
okay,
we obviously had some scope creep.
a
It
little bit.
is much, yeah, it's much bigger than that. It's a 20 barrel brew house. We have our own packaging line and team. And yeah, it's a
A
lot
full
bigger than
kitchen,
that.
bit more than
And
hot dogs.
full kitchen, banquet facility. Yeah.
It's insane. The actual place is absolutely insane to the point where like that's why I had to reach out. Like not only was the beer and the food amazing, but the space was like
Yeah.
it was like a winery almost. Like it's like hipster but modern and classy, and everything about it was like because I drag my girlfriend. She's been to most breweries that I've been to, and she's into it, but like I'm really
Sure.
into it. So I drag her to some places that she may not otherwise go to. So when we pulled up at your job, we were driving around the corner when you sort of come down the Orchard Park
Yeah.
Road and you turn in. And I was like, Jesus Christ, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know what to expect. I just knew the website looked pretty classy. I was like, oh, cool. It's like nice design, like something that's attractive to us. Your
Yeah.
design, which I definitely want to get into, both the graphic and the physical design. But yeah, the space is like, yeah, I mean, maybe people go there with that expectation of seeing pictures or they've checked out your social, which is also exceptional. And you can sort of tell there's a lot of thought going into all of it. But like, it's unlike the vast majority, like 90% of breweries that I've been to, 95 probably. It's very, was that sort of like intentional to create a space that with a wow factor?
Yes. And I would say, for one, we have, a number of financial partners who enabled us to do that. Certainly you can't do that without funding.
No.
That does not happen. But we also, one of my partners is a designer and a very accomplished one. And the whole thing was really her vision. And, there were folks that worked with her. It wasn't her alone, but I think the vision was hers. And so, yeah, but I mean, early on, I was a part of those conversations. I really can't take any credit at all personally for the design of the place. I was there for it.
Right.
But that's just not my skill set. That's not what I do.
Of course.
But I remember conversations where things were said like, we really want this to be a place where, you're sitting there having a meal and drinking a beer and thinking like, am I really in Western New York right now? Like, I think to some degree, some Western New Yorkers, like Buffalo is the butt of jokes. And I think that's really like seeped in for some people. And like, I don't know, people in Western New York deserve cool things. And I think part of this, like, we wanted a cool place that like the people in Western New York and are now, guests deserve. And I think that's appreciated. And I know I'm proud to be a part of it.
Well said, dude. Yes. God damn it. It's I couldn't agree more. It's like I feel like it's like and we talked about this where like the first few times I came to Buffalo, I was like, what is this place? This is insane. Just feels like the end of the world. Like it wasn't nice. It wasn't nice to visit.
Years
Years ago. Sorry, I'm talking like around the time you moved there. And I'm talking downtown Buffalo. Let me be very clear. And then now because we're just across the border, I've just been going there more often. And just like, like I said in the intro, Jared from Mortalis put me onto a lot of different places. His wife is from Buffalo. He gets out there a lot. So he knows what's up. So just been like, every time we go, we try to go somewhere different. Just to explore the scene. Cause I want to be able to, I feel like I need to know doing this pod. I feel like I need to be relatively tapped in. And like, it's just like impressed me so much more than I ever anticipated. Cause I expected so little coming from Vermont. And I felt like that was like a pretty high bar to live up to for the border town. That's the easy day trip. I just been impressed the whole time. I just feel like it's just like it doesn't even remotely get the credit that it deserves. I mean, maybe slowly,
I agree.
Slowly but surely. As
I think it's starting to get there. But I don't know. There's a big mural on a building that says "Keep Buffalo a Secret," and like a little bit, like still want to do that. But but also want like people to be proud of living here because they should be, and want tourists to come here and appreciate it. And but I think Buffalo's interesting because I am not a native. And that seems to be pretty unusual. There are not so many people that have moved here from somewhere else. There are a lot of people that have. There seems to be like a is it diaspora, whatever.
Diaspora, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. It seems like Charlotte has tons of Buffalonians, and some other places too. Yeah.
Florida has a bunch. Like Three Sons has the Buffalo big flag with the brewery and shit. He's from
Corey's from Buffalo. Yep.
His pups, Joe. Yeah.
Yep, I know them.
Of course you do.
Yeah. But sorry, I lost my train of thought. But
you're talking about Buffalo being people don't typically move there.
Well, but I think that gives me like I can stand back and look at it, or even people that have moved away from Buffalo for a time and come back, I think can appreciate it more. But I think the first thing, and you and I talked about, is like people here, it's just friendly.
Friendly.
And that's probably my favorite thing about living here is just how generally friendly it is around here. And a common saying, which maybe you have heard, maybe you haven't, is Buffalo's the world's largest living room, and it's
Oh, I
just
haven't.
everybody seems to know everybody. It's I mean, seriously, it's one. I'm not that well connected, and it's like 1 degree of separation to anybody or anything. And one of the other things I really appreciate Buffalo is the food scene in particular. I think we really, Buffalo's a metro of about 1 million people, and I think our scene of locally grown like chefs who are really good at what they do and do really interesting and innovative things and run interesting restaurants and businesses. Like I feel like we have more of those than similar sized cities.
Hmm.
Um, and
I
there's
would
a
agree.
lot of cool stuff going on here. So yeah, just glad to
Yeah.
be in the mix.
Hell yeah, dude. Well said. I love hearing that, and I think it's even more meaningful from someone who didn't grow up there and came in and then found your current path there.
Hmm.
And I mean, you've been there long enough, like what,
Yeah.
15 plus years.
Yeah, about 14, 15 years. Yeah.
So like what's up, but like you could easily not feel that way, and
Yeah.
it feels like there's been some sort of it's a bit of a dramatic word, but like a renaissance as far as like First Ward downtown where
Oh yeah.
Resurgence and Frequentum and stuff are, and that cool distillery, and like
Yep.
I just feel like every time we go to different places, it's like particularly in the summer, like Elmwood, awesome area. Like
Oh
there's
yeah.
so many cool. The one by Coulter Bay, up there, whatever that area is called.
Oh, Allen Street, Allentown.
That's the
Yeah.
one. Yep.
Yep.
Sick. There's like there's so many different neighborhoods that are just every time we go, they're just so walkable and so many cool things to pop in and see and do. And it's just sort of like it kind of like you said, keep Buffalo a secret. It does feel like it's a bit of a secret because I feel like the Canadians used to come over, like you and Tiff were talking about, like for the cheap shopping at the Galleria back in the
Yeah.
day,
That was
and then
it.
now it's not so cheap. But no one would really come over for anything else besides that. And now I just feel like there's like a plethora of things to do and see
Yeah.
and eat, and it's as good as anywhere. You're right. What you said was it's as a city the similar size. There's only 210 according to Wikipedia. I think I checked. There's
In
210,000
the city
people
proper. Yeah.
in the city proper. I mean, probably if you is there like a the equivalent of the GTA, the Greater Toronto area? Is there like a Greater Buffalo area?
Yeah, it's about 1 million.
About 1 million. Oh shit! Where does that go to? Doesn't that include Rochester or not that far?
No, no. Rochester itself is about 1 million. That its own
Its
metro
own.
area. Yeah.
Okay, because I think I
Yeah.
saw on the city proper for Rochester was closer to 300,000, so it wasn't that much bigger. Because we were trying to compare it to Hamilton, because this is what pisses me off in a good way. I go to Buffalo, I'm like, well, why doesn't Hamilton have shit this good? Like just First Ward, there's nothing really like that there. Like
Yeah.
I just feel like there's so many things in a city like Buffalo that doesn't have a reputation of having cool things, like you said. You go there, and I'm finding cool things every single time I go without that
Yeah.
much effort. Now I'm
Like
like, I'm
there's a
looking
lot
at
of
it.
cool things. Yeah.
There's so many. Hamilton's got 3 to 4 times the population of the city proper. I'm
And
like,
speaking of, you've mentioned the First Ward. Have you been to Gene McCarthy's?
no, what's that?
You got to put that on your list. It's
Adding it right now.
old school. It's a bar. It's not far from Resurgence or Frequentum.
Okay.
But they have a brewery there called the Old First Ward Brewing Company, and Brian making the beer there does a killer job. Especially his like classic lagers, one of the few places you can get a Rauch beer in Western New York.
No
Um,
way.
yeah, he's got this really like super hoppy pilsner called Koenig that's really good. Their
Okay.
wings are killer. If you're there this time of year, the fish fry is really good. So yeah, it's like a neighborhood bar, but
Beans?
Gene McCarthy's.
Gene McCarthy's. And it's a beer
Yep.
bar, essentially.
Yeah, it's a brew pub. Yeah.
Brew pub. So
Yep.
Old First Ward Brewery / Gene McCarthy's. Okay.
Yep. Check it out.
Done. Added it to the list.
Worth a stop for sure.
Dude, yeah, you put me onto some other stuff when we were talking the other day that I also have to write down, but I was going to hit you when we were coming closer to summer because we'll talk about it a bit when we start to talk a bit more about Orchard Park
Yeah.
and East Aurora and stuff. But
Yep.
I love it. I love gassing it up. What's the next beer, brother?
Yeah.
What are we thinking?
Oh man. Should we stay like? All right, I got it. Let's go Waylander.
Wayland, hell yeah. Is this would you call this a flagship or a core beer?
Yes, 100%.
Beautiful. I decided to
Yeah,
try
this-
this one because it's one of the ones I had not had on tap there.
Yeah, we just packaged this today. Not the one you're holding. But that's not old. But yeah.
No, I think
Um,
everything, like you said, everything's flying.
Yeah, pretty well. So this is one of 3 beers that we consistently distribute.
Okay.
So we have 3 cores, a hazy, a West Coast IPA, this German Pils, and then we do some seasonals and there's some one-offs that we trickle out to distro. But yeah, so
Love
this
it.
is one of the major ones.
That you've seen around. Oh, look at that color. It's like bright yellow. I can't really tell on camera. Maybe because I got the light coming through. It's like bright yellow. Wicked head. Oof. One of the other things, just which I really want to get into when we talk about the brewery a bit more, is the you got the 4 LUKR taps there,
Oh
which
yeah.
is glorious. And you always have there's this one in the Especial. Is that was also on LUKR, right?
No, Especial is not on LUKR.
Okay. What else do you have on there? Because I think when we went like on Friday, you had this. You had the Winterland, the Dunkel,
Yeah.
there was one other one you had on there.
Unfortunately, one of them is open right now. There's not a beer on it, but the third one is Errant Path, which is the
Yes.
Strangebird collab that I think we'll get to next.
Excited.
That would be my suggestion. But yeah, so
I'm
those
with it,
3.
brother. Yes.
Yes. So Winterland, which is a Dunkel, and then what is in the tank right now, destined for that 4th LUKR, is a Czech dark lager that we call
Nice.
Velvet.
Oof. Oh, I mean, when does that drop?
Oh, it's probably a month away yet.
A month away? Okay, we got some time.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
brewed. It's in the tank. This will be the 3rd time we brewed that beer.
Okay.
It's that one is a decocted. I think it's double decocted Czech dark lager, so Tmave Pivo. It's a 12-degree beer, so it's right on 5 or 5.2%. And we employ a couple little tricks so we can decoct without it getting all astringent and bitter from the roasted malts.
Hell yeah. Keen to hear about that one. Well, this one, 5.1 German Pilsner.
Yep.
PJ,
Yeah.
get that in you, big dog. Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Oh, my goodness. I don't know. This is beautiful. German Pilsner, too. So it's like, it's got such a great malty sweetness that doesn't have that, like the big Czech kind of grassy bitterness kick.
Right.
Yeah, it's just so smooth.
Yep.
Yeah, tell me what are we talking for the ingredients in this one?
Yeah, so this one is this one has had quite a lot of evolution, kind of slowly and gently, and it's probably the beer that we've brewed the second most. Our tanks are all 20 and 40 barrel. There are 2 40-barrel tanks that are always full of this beer, and that's my bottleneck on that. So we're kind of right at the edge of our capacity on this specific beer until I get some more tanks. But it's had an evolution over time. It is currently 100% Weyermann floor malted bow pills. It used to have some other things in it. It actually used to have some Weyermann Barke pills, which is like I love it, but it's very characterful and it's full and it gives this kind of like nutty, like biscuity kind of note. And we really just wanted this beer leaner and leaner and leaner. And I reduced the percentage that was Barke for a time, and then ultimately I realized, like, for this beer to get to where I want it to go, I have to remove it, even though I'm really fond of that malt. So it is now 100% Bohemian Pils malt, which is in theory a Czech Pils malt, but we're using it for this. This is not decocted; it is step mashed, but no decoction. We ferment this with the Augustiner yeast strain, and on the cooler side of that, so like low 50s. The hops in it, it's all Mittelfrüh and Saphir. There's a little bit of Perle for bittering, but these are all hops that we're getting from Germany. There's no American hops in this, and I guess that's the thing. If we're gonna make a beer and call it a German Pilsner, it's going to be the truest like rendition of that I can do. So it is all imported ingredients in this beer, and it always will be that way. And if we make a beer like this that has domestic ingredients, it will be lovely, but it will not be called a German Pilsner, just because it's not. American Pilsner, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm trying to even think if that's a. Have you ever heard that before? Anyone call it that?
Sure. Yeah.
And it's the same concept. It's typically like a Pilsner with all local ingredients.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and we've brewed some beers kind of like that. I don't have anything like it at the moment, but but yeah, there's something else I was gonna say about this beer, but I really like it. I think it's interesting. It's done better at distribution than I expected.
Mm,
Um, and I think because it kind of fits a spot. It's a little bit more characterful than like just your domestic light lager. But it's
yeah.
accessible and like familiar enough that it doesn't scare people away. And it is like in my opinion, extraordinarily food friendly. Like it is pretty dry. The finishing gravity on it is sub 2 Plato. So it
Yep.
is quite dry. There's very little residual. It's got enough of like a snappy bitterness that if you have it with, a fatty dish, it'll cut through it and kind of cleanse the palate. So I don't know. I think I absolutely love this beer with
It's
wings.
amazing.
So I
Oh,
think it makes
okay.
sense in Buffalo.
Of course, it doesn't get any better. This is like it's just such a just as you're sort of talking about, just sort of writing some thoughts on it. It's so you're right. It's like I can imagine this being perfect with food. It's got a great malt profile. It's got just enough like it's almost like floral, grassy notes in there as well. Just like little, I feel like almost like a tiny hint of like lemon,
Yeah.
if I'm not
Yep.
tripping out. That's
Yeah.
like not over like pronounced, but it's just it blends in perfectly with the like the herbal bready notes.
Yeah, I would attribute that to the Sapphire hops.
Sophia, okay,
Yeah, which I think that's kind of what they're known for. It's funny.
right.
It's a very simple beer. There's not a lot to it. There's not a ton of hops in it. It's really a technique beer and process beer.
Mm,
But it's funny every time we brew it. A lot of things in the kettle, especially until you add like feature hops and stuff, they kind of smell similar. It's sweet wort. Um, I don't know what it is specifically, but this beer, every time we're brewing it, it's like, yep, that's Waylander. It's very like distinctive in the brew house,
mm.
which is fun. I don't know, and it indicates to me I'm doing something right. So
Yeah, if you can pick it out from there, that's it makes it unique. It's definitely now I've had this would be like like probably half a dozen at least beers from you now, like, and most of those were lagers. Like this, it's quite distinct from the other ones. I feel like you've done a great job of distinguishing the different styles, which really shows like the expertise and kind of like passion, I guess, from your side for the style
well,
to be able
thanks.
to yeah.
I I appreciate that. That is something I and the team do very intentionally. Is you know number one, to have a draft board that is diverse and has something for everyone who walks in the building. And we're here to talk about beer, but it is beer and other shit. We serve cocktails and really nice like wine selection. Like we do other stuff
Yes.
too. So Wayland was always meant to be a place for anyone and everyone. It's kid friendly. We have great wine, we have great food, we have cocktails, and yeah, we got beer. And it is Wayland Brewing, but we do all of these things and we try to do everything well. But yeah, so even on the draft board, I wanted a diverse thing. Not
Mm,
to yuck somebody else's yum, but we did not want to be a brewery that you come into and there's like 12 IPAs. It's just that I know for a lot of consumers that's a turnoff.
right.
And I think with the paired food offering and all that stuff, like not everything goes well with IPA. So, and I love making IPAs. I love going out and selecting hops and thinking about hops and dreaming about hops. But um, uh, having stuff on the menu for everyone, and then okay, within we have like three different like pale lagers on the board. Like, what distinguishes these from each other?
Right.
Really want to be careful not to have them all present the same. And part of
Mm,
that's ABV. We do different strengths. But then beyond that, yeah, really consider like different base malts, different techniques, different hops and hop schedules. Really, trying different things. And I really enjoy like the science and the process side of things. So being able to learn about and employ different techniques on different beers is like part of what makes this enjoyable for me.
hell yeah, dude. I love that. And that's very abundantly clear from our experiences there now, hanging and eating there and drinking there twice, two occasions and both on Fridays, but there were two different vibes. It was and on that note that you mentioned, you got the cocktails and the wine. I love to harp on this on the pod. I think America does it so well because I think people like even after you dipped on the Friday, we stayed probably till like
Mhm.
6 o'clock. And thank you as well for the dessert. When we talk about
Oh,
food,
yeah.
the dessert, dude, Jesus Christ, that was amazing.
Yeah,
Oh
I saw
my
your
God.
Instagram. Yeah,
Lost my mind. I want to tell you personally, it was thank you, first of all, but second, it was
sure.
absolutely phenomenal. We'll talk about the food when we talk about the food program. It was so good. It was so unique. But the people that were coming in, and this is what I think is cool about breweries, is I think there's some people there that had almost would go there and they have no idea that it's a brewery. It's just a place to eat and drink. And I
Yeah,
think that's arguably the future of brewing. Sadly, for better for worse, but it needs to feel like if me and you as beer nerds want to go somewhere, but we've got four other people with us and they're not beer nerds, they need to be catered for. They're not going to want to
hmm
go, and then we don't get to patronize that establishment. And one way around that is to have cocktails, wine and seltzers and other offering cider, whatever it might be, along with the great food, so that everyone feels good. And I feel like it's just the States does it so well. And I'm looking around the room and I'm seeing all age groups. Probably more than half the room were women. There were some kids in there as well that were like loving it. I just thought, man, this is awesome. This is exactly what
yeah.
it needs to be. I don't know if I guess that was sort of intentional, or was that kind of like just a nice like,
Oh,
oh, this is cool.
yeah. Well, what you just said, like you're pretty closely, I guess, like paraphrasing parts of our business plan.
Okay.
Like yeah, for sure. That was something we talked about too, is like not everyone's a beer drinker, and that's fine. We want it to be a gathering place,
Mm,
a third space. So yeah, it was always from the beginning, it was never going to be just
mm,
beer. Like, you can have a beer, you can get out. Like that was not ever part of the vision. And
gotcha.
um we also have a really solid team across the board. I mean, the guys that work with me in the brewery are great and very passionate. Our bar manager, Josh, who's been there since the beginning, like designs a lot of the cocktails and has done just a remarkable job with that.
Amazing.
We've had a couple of different people that have selected the wine list over the years, but everyone who's had a hand in it has been very passionate about that. And it's not just like, yeah, give me a red, I don't care. Like, no, there's like, we only have like 6 or 8 wines, but they're very intentionally selected.
Mm,
And they really fit like they make up like a very nice, comprehensive, like approachable, but like good value portfolio of wine. So everything that we do is very intentional on that. And not to have like 40 bottles of wine available. It's like want to have that available for the people that's what they're there for, but like a concise and kind of curated offering.
mm.
And same thing with the beers. Like we have at most 15 beers on draft.
Okay.
It's
That's a
it's
lot.
not crazy. It's a lot, and that gives me enough to have the kind of range and diversity in the portfolio that I want. But yeah, so that's always been part of the plan.
Gotcha. That
I think
it,
part
go.
of it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, no, please, please.
I think part of it too is where you're located. And I think what Wayland is and what it has become is very much a product of our immediate surrounding community, and just the demographics of that community. And I
Mm,
think if you took us and dropped us even in a different part of Western New York, our personality would have adapted. It probably would be slightly different. And I know we'll probably talk more about it, but we are opening a second, much smaller tap room in another suburb of Buffalo, hopefully within about 2 months. It's going to be different, and the community is different, not better or worse, just different.
mhm.
And I'm really interested to see what like the product mix and the sale mix, this like the sale matrix of what people are reaching for. I suspect it's going to be a little bit more beer heavy. Um, but I also think the mix within the beer is going to be different, where we sell our top sellers in Orchard Park, our light lagers, and I love that. I kind of wonder if it might be hoppy stuff at the new place. So it'll
Mm.
be, I won't know until I see some data, but it'll be really interesting. And whatever it is, we'll adapt to it. But that spot is going to be a different concept, and like I said, a lot smaller, but excited to add it to the mix.
We'll definitely get into that shortly. I love that. I think that's super exciting that you guys are doing that, and I can only imagine, like as you were sort of saying it, and I know it's a tap room and you're not gonna have a brewery there,
Correct.
or you have a kitchen.
Yeah, there will be a kitchen, but actually, Wayland is not operating the kitchen. We are one of my partners, Brad, his brother Corey has a smash burger restaurant in the Buffalo area called Buffalo Bros Burgers. So he does smash burgers, fried chicken sandwiches, fries. So he is going to run the kitchen at this place. So it'll be his existing menu: smash burgers, fried chicken sandwiches, fries, and I think it's just gonna I don't know, I'm gonna want to hang out there a lot. I think, good beer, and his food is excellent. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun,
I
and
like that.
I think it's gonna be a really good fit for kind of the space and the location that we're into.
Okay, I love that, and it's cool that it's a different offering. Like it's a reason that even if people would normally go to Orchard Park, they can be like, yeah, let's pop on down because it's just a different vibe. Not that you guys
Yep,
have burgers and stuff too.
we do a burger.
Uh,
Yep.
yeah, but I guess it's like cool that it would be a completely different experience with basically the same or some of the same beer. I imagine there might be some different beer. Just for
Yeah,
that.
in the beginning, I think they're gonna have one. We're gonna have one exclusive beer over there.
Hmm.
But my thought at this point is that the draft lines will mirror each other. But if the demands from, or not demands, but just like
The
what,
sales, really, right? Like,
yeah, what the sales or what customers are looking for are different in those two places, I would certainly mix up the offering a bit to cater to each location. But again, I'm not going to try to guess at that. We're gonna get it open and you know
see how you go.
see how we go, and we'll go from there.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. When you opened Orchard Park, and the place was ready, what did you open with as far as the beers?
Oh boy. So the lineup was pretty similar. We did not make Especial, the first beer that you and I drank here, until about 18 months in, and it's been just about 3 years now.
Oh shit. Okay.
We had Waylander. We had Super Deluxe, which is our core like hazy IPA.
Okay.
We had another hazy. It's a small hazy. It's 4.2% called Future Ghost, and we'll be packaging that next week, which I'm
Okay.
really excited for. And I know the bar has been coming to me and saying like, when is Super coming back? People are starting to, or I'm sorry, Future. When's Future Ghost coming back? People are really starting to hound us about it, and it's like, I'll have it next week. So we had that. I had a brewer with me in the beginning. She's since moved on, but she had some really interesting perspectives and ingredients and ideas and stuff. So we had a sour when we opened, which we've done a handful of different sours. It's not really our thing. I don't drink a lot of sours. I do like them. It's just not something I go for a lot. But I
Right.
always, my thought on that has been, if we're gonna make a sour, it needs to be interesting, and it's got to be good. But I also don't want it to just be like blackberry sour. Like there's got to be something more interesting to it.
Mm.
And the one that she had conceptualized, and we brewed it several times, it was called Festa, and I may bring it back at some point. But it was a clean sour, so quick sour. We don't
Hmm.
actually kettle sour. It's done in the FV, and there's live lacto in the finished product. But it had golden berry, which is also known as a ground cherry, or
Oh,
there's
the
a Cape
yeah.
gooseberry. Yeah, which is
Yes.
actually in the tomato
Golden
family, and
cherry.
they're husked. So they look
Yeah,
kind
with
of
that
like a
little thing.
tomatillo. Yep.
Yeah,
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 a little
yeah, yeah.
paper
Lemon
husk, like
chops.
lantern husk on it. But a good, we called them most often ground cherry, but I think they're interchangeably known as that or golden berry or Cape gooseberry. Um, they have kind of a pineapple mango thing going on. Um,
Yeah.
so we
Ground
we had
cherries, Cape.
this.
Yep. All the above.
Yep.
They're
The
from Peru, it looks like. Oh,
Yeah.
Physalis peruviana, the nightshade family, native to
Yep.
Chile and Peru.
Yep.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Yep.
Fascinating. So the first time we did a test batch on like a homebrew kit with it, and we actually got them from a local farm. They are cultivated locally, in very small amounts, and we had like a 5 gallon bucket of them, but they were husked. And she and I sat in our office for like 2 days husking these things. And it was like, all right, well, if we're gonna make a go of this at scale, we need like
Like
uh, a
pre-made.
ready a ready to use product. I can't. This is 5 pounds or 10 pounds or whatever. I can't imagine doing 1,000 pounds.
Jesus.
So it is something that's available as a puree. From a lot of the fruit suppliers that serve breweries, and we did find that. But anyway, so the beer had a fair amount of that stuff, and a green cardamom extract that we made ourselves. And the first time we made it, we zested like 4 cases of oranges and made a orange extract from the orange zest. So it was uh, ground cherry, or whatever you want to call it, cardamom and orange zest in
Okay.
a clean, I think it was about 4.5% sour. It was called Festa, and that was great. But anyways, when we opened, so yeah, had Waylander. It was quite different back then. I remember we had a double IPA called Total Consciousness,
Okay.
which is a Caddyshack reference when he's talking about his discussion with the Dalai Lama. I don't know
Okay.
if you're familiar with that movie.
I've
uh,
seen it, but so long ago.
yeah. Boy, we had a stout called Astute. Um, yeah, I could go through all of them, but bottom line, it really wasn't too dissimilar from our draft lineup today.
So you had a decent. It wasn't like 4 beers. It was like
Oh
a
no, we
bunch.
had 14 or 15,
Oh,
and
sorry, I wouldn't have asked you to list them all if it was that many. Most breweries
y-
do not open with that many beers.
yeah, which we had quite a few people come in for soft openings and stuff and be like, wait, what?
You
It's like, yeah, no, I've been like going crazy back there trying to get this ready. So
right? I
yeah,
can imagine.
yeah,
That's
a
insane.
lot of
Is that
different stuff. Yeah, a lot of variety.
why did you have so many on opening? Was it just because you're able to, and it was like, let's go?
Um, yes, and also wanted to do it right. Like I really wanted to hit the ground running, and I wanted to show what we were capable of day one. And like the kitchen was going to do that, and the front of house was going to do that. So I
Mhm.
certainly didn't want to mail it in and be like the weak link. It's like, I'm with this like really experienced crew of like restaurateurs and stuff. It's like I gotta show up too. So and I did have the ability to do it, but it was stressful getting that all done and packaged. I also had most of it available in cans,
Dang.
day one. So it was like, and we said that in the lead ups, like really want this to be a place people walk in and be like, I feel like this has been here for like 5 years. And I do think we accomplished that, which was a lofty goal.
I was shocked when you just said 5 minutes ago that you've been there 3 years. I had no
Yeah.
idea. I thought you
Yeah.
would be like, I've been in out here almost 4. So that means you opened up in the time I moved to Hamilton, which feels so short. It feels like yesterday type thing.
Yeah.
That's
April
crazy.
2023. Yep.
April 23. Fuck, that's so sick, dude. So then I think I kind of went a little bit forward there because you were we were talking about as it was all coming together. Um the food when it went from so your partner was a restaurateur. That was the gentleman who reached out to you to be like, yo,
Yep.
let's do something. So
Yep.
how did it go from hot dogs to this beautiful menu that you have now?
Boy, good question. I think it was kind of organic. So really the space grew, and
Okay.
then the menu kind of adapted to fit what the restaurant became. And then similarly, the brewing setup and beer portfolio
Just
adapted.
okay.
Yeah, and this is all in advance, all in the planning stages,
Of
but
course.
um, really what dictated it, I know they had a ton of interest in their original restaurant, which they have multiple now, but their first one is called the Grange Community Kitchen, and it's in Hamburg, which is a neighboring town of Orchard Park. And if you haven't been, it's a great place to check it out.
Great. I love it.
Um, but they've been there for, boy, I think 7 or 8 years at this point now.
Okay.
Um, but they had a ton of interest in renting the space out for weddings and events and stuff. And they said, "Hey, we're building this new thing. If it could accommodate that sort of thing, we kind of have a built-in, like, significant level of interest in like an event space." So that kind of became a criteria when we were looking for a location. And where we landed, it at the time was an American Legion post, and it had two buildings. This older house, which I told you some of the history of, and we
I
can
was about to
go into
bring this
that.
up. Do
Yeah.
it because it was fascinating what you were telling us. Yeah.
Well, I'll finish my thought and then I'll come back to it. But
Please.
so the house is old, and then there's that was built in 1806, and there's
Wow.
some history there. And then a banquet hall kind of attached to the side and behind it, that was built, I believe, in the 50s or 60s, but had a pretty large lot. It's a corner lot. It had a large parking lot. So when we bought it, it had those two structures, and it took some time kind of looking at the space, the lot, what could be done with it. And again, this was not my I was nodding like, yeah, that sounds cool. We should do that. They weren't my ideas. But basically decided that the existing hall would become our banquet facility. We built a new large kind of tap room, which we often call the atrium, and that's because there's a lot of glass and it feels like an atrium. And then there's a courtyard that's separate. Those three buildings are all kind of nestled together. And then there's a large courtyard that separates the production brewery building from the rest. And, there's really just the courtyard in between. So I'm back and forth between buildings often.
Just to paint the picture of the courtyard, it's this beautiful, like on the road side, there's like a ramp that allows you to walk between the two. Sorry to describe your own building to people.
Go for it.
And then when we first went, it was covered in snow, and we were saying to you that when the day we went on last Friday, it was raining all day, so all the snow had gone, and we got to see it. So it's sort of like this slightly sunken area with like gravel's a poor word, but like pebbles, and these sick fire pits and picnic tables with like these LED lights all around the outside that I could just imagine being there at 9 p.m. in summer, like crushing outside with the fire pits going and the little lights. Like, it is a vibe on, like, I can't wait to take my mother-in-law there. I think she's gonna absolutely lose her mind, because I feel like Torontonians front on Buffalo, and I want to take people down. They always front on Hamilton. Like, come and fucking see this dude. Like, this shit is sick. So it's so unexpected. You see the courtyard as you're parking, and then you come into this big ass atrium is the perfect word for it, and you're like, what is it, 30 feet ceilings or something? Like,
they're high. Yeah.
It's just, and the glass is just, the whole thing is this glass. So whatever's happening outside, if it's snowing, if it's raining, if it's blue, I haven't been there in blue skies yet, that's next. It's just like, I don't know, it's the experience is just so, it's unlike anything that I've experienced in beer, and even more unexpected, as you were saying, in the region in Buffalo. It's just insane. Sorry, keep talking about it. I just want to really say how fucking sick it is. It's so sick.
It's pretty sweet. Yeah. And the brewery building is at one end of it, and I could have made better use of my footprint, but we intentionally faced our original 6 20-barrel fermenters at these huge windows that and we have lighting put in there. They're kind of downlit and illuminated in the evening. So if you're sitting in there or sitting in the courtyard, like, that is one of the backdrops. And stainless, especially if well presented and kept clean, it can be pretty striking and a really cool backdrop. And I think we've accomplished that. But in that courtyard, there's also a bocce court, a regulation bocce court. I don't know if you noticed that, but
I saw that on the Friday. Yeah.
Yep, and that we have bocce leagues, and I think we're currently doing signups for the spring league, and that is always sells out quick because you can only have so many teams.
Right.
But so through the kind of development of the concept, that having that banquet hall, and the banquet facility is 5,000 square feet, and it's a beautiful space. It's just clean and bright and open, and I think really makes a pretty good blank canvas. And we do quite a few weddings in there, as well as other sorts of events, a lot of baby showers, bridal showers. We've had corporate gatherings. I know my daughter's swim team had a banquet there. It can be adapted for pretty much anything, but that banquet hall seemed to be kind of the hinge that, or I don't know, the lever that kind of affected the other aspects of the business. It's like, okay, well, we've got this 5,000 square foot banquet facility, and we're going to have this restaurant, so the kitchen needs to be at least this big to accommodate it. And all right, well, we have this big tap room and we have this big courtyard. The brewery needs to be at least this big to be able to keep up with all of this. So it all they all affected each other. Yeah, and then which the parking lot is big, but it's not big enough. And
as we were leaving on Friday, someone was like, "Are you going?" And we had was like a mall at Christmas time. We were like, yep, we're going. Split the dog, leave him pissed real quick, go in the car. I was like, damn. Yeah, and I had to kind of dodge other cars coming out as we were leaving.
We do lease parking from some neighboring businesses, but we try to do a good job of messaging about that so people know where they can park and not get towed or a ticket or anything. But it is hard. Like, how do you get that out there? Like, let people know where all to park. We put signs up and stuff, but the wind
I was
knocks them
gonna say,
down, and yeah,
yeah, sandwich boards is the only thing I could think of, but yeah,
yeah.
it's kind of hard.
So, but yeah. So, um, well, I said I'd come back to it. So the history of the place. So it had been an American Legion post, which for the Canadian folks, if you're not familiar, it's like a veterans like social club. Um, but they were ready to downsize, and they moved a couple of miles away and into a smaller facility. And we've maintained something of a relationship with them. I actually, there was a painted window that was part of the original structure, and one of the gentlemen came and found me, and this is during construction, and said, "Hey, listen, you guys bought this place. This is your building, but if that's getting removed, I would really like to have that." It was like hand stenciled. It named their branch and all that stuff. And he said, my father hand stenciled that, and this guy's probably late 70s. He said, my father hand stenciled that, and if you're going to get rid of it, I'd like to have it. It's
Okay.
great. Well, let me see what I can do. So I talked with the contractors and made sure that it was carefully removed. And I have a friend who's a furniture maker, and he built us this gorgeous like quarter sawn red oak frame for it. We turned it into like this really beautiful bar mirror. And it took some time to get it to them, but we delivered it to them and presented it to them as a gift because that was a big deal for them. They had operated in that space since the 30s,
Damn.
and to give that up and sell that space and where all their history and memories had been and move on to a different facility, like I'm sure that was difficult. So I don't know. I felt that was, especially since he asked for it, because I was trying to think of something to do for these guys. I thought it was important to show a gesture from us and kind of like a passing of the torch. Like, they handed their facility to us, and I was glad to be able to give something back to them. But the other parts of the history that are interesting to that, the house, which was part of the original facility that we purchased, was built in 1806. And I went to the Buffalo Public Library and read up on its history. And this was early on. I was actually hunting for ideas for names for the place
Okay.
before it became Wayland. And I read about the history of the place. And there is a marker outside. It's on the National Register of Historic Places or whatever. I should probably know specifically what that is, but there's like a green thing outside. But that house was, I believe, it was a public house for a time. It was a private residence for a time. In the 1860s, I believe, it was owned by a guy named Erastus Webster. And I remember you asked me to spell, like, wait, what was that
Yeah.
name?
I was like, that's a good name for a dog.
Erastus.
Erastus.
Yeah,
I love it.
it would be. And the side street that we're located on is Webster Road, named after him. And he was in Abraham Lincoln's cabinet during the Civil War era. So he was like a undersecretary or something to William Seward, who was
Okay.
I believe, the Secretary of State at the time. So, pretty high up fella in the American government back in the 1860s. And around that time, it was also a stop on the Underground Railroad, which
Okay.
was not like literally a railroad. It was a series of hiding places to get escaped slaves north to Canada. And if you get to Buffalo, you're almost home free. And what the Underground Railroad really was a series of hiding places. And if you go down in the basement of that house, which is a very old, like stone wall basement, you can see the kind of cubbies and dugout areas where you could have hit a person. And so there's some very interesting history in that building.
Okay. I'm looking
And
at,
it,
when I
it is
googled
known to
his
be
name.
haunted also.
Oh, sorry, the front building, the
Yeah,
black. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Sick. Have you ever
And
seen anything creepy?
I have not. I know some staff have. One of the guys painting the place before we were open had some stories, and yeah, I know there's a few staff members that don't like being over in that part at night by themselves.
Anything like sick that is worth
Ah,
retelling? No, not really.
no,
Okay.
nothing real juicy. Just
Nothing juicy.
just
Oh,
creepy,
you
creepy
get a
crawlies,
feeling.
and yeah, hair stand up on your neck, maybe a funny noise, but nothing, no
Nothing crazy.
apparitions that anybody's told me about or anything
Damn
like
it.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand. I understand. I see that. Actually, when I googled Erastus Webster, well, actually, it's not. I thought it was from there was someone's photography. Actually, did some beautiful photos of the brewery. and I see that sign out the front. That's sort of like site
Yes.
of Erastus D. Webster Homestead.
Yep.
Talking about the cabinet and which is pretty cool. It's the Revolution Bicentennial, American Revolution Bicentennial, 1776 to 1976. So I guess it was.
Oh, so that's when they placed that plaque.
Right. That was
Yeah.
from that, for whatever society that's from. But someone did some. I see there's like another. I feel like because I've been in weird weather. If you see that the Legion side, there's like another courtyard next to the Legion.
Yeah, that's in the front of the banquet hall.
Yes.
And that is generally reserved. Like if you rent the hall for a wedding, you get that.
You get okay, so that's
Um,
not a public thing.
No, it has been on occasion. It's a really lovely space. It's got these really cool like kind of cobblestone pavers is the what the patio is, and it's kind of framed by these built-in benches and planters and stuff. It's really cool out there. I know I've had a chance to take advantage of it a few times. It's a really nice space. But yeah, so that there's really not a great way of accessing it from the tap room. Like you can get there, but it's not like obvious.
Gotcha.
But into the banquet hall, there's like two sets of double doors that open right up to it. So we've had folks that do like a small ceremony out there, and then they go inside for the reception. But yeah, it's a really cool spot there too.
I love it. So fire. So cool with all the history, man.
Yeah.
I love it. Shall we crack that next one, Big Dog?
Yeah, let's do it. I think
What are you
Errant Path
thinking?
makes sense.
Okay, I love that. That was my first Wayland beer. So from the first time
Okay.
we went in Feb, it was on tap, and this was a collab with Strangebird out of Rochester.
Yes.
And I haven't been there yet, but I had a few of their beers, thanks to Will, our mutual friend, and Jared at Mortalis, who was also mates with Will. And I was very happy to see this one, and it was sick. I didn't know this was in cans, and you were telling us a phenomenal story about this beer on Friday, which I know we'll get into because it's a pretty
Sure.
key part of the pro. What a sick like opal, like fucking label. This is so sick.
Pretty cool color, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even. Is that a good? You know, like opal, how it's got that like almost like a like oil slick on a puddle.
You know, it's funny. I hadn't thought of that, but I absolutely see what you mean.
Yeah, it
And
could be
there's
the
a little bit.
reflection of.
Well, there's also a little bit of a gradient in the text and the graphic. It's like green, and then it fades into a blue.
Oh, I've got like blue lights and crap everywhere, so it's kind of like almost hard to see, but so clean. And that just reminded me, we definitely need to talk about the branding soon. Because
We can do
good
that.
lord.
Yeah.
Yes. So this one. Now this is a Svetly Lizak 11 degrees Czech-style pale lager at 5%.
Yep.
Talk to me.
Yeah, I'll tell you all about it.
Oh, thank
So
you.
I really like Strangebird. I like everything about Strangebird. I know a lot of the people there. I've gotten to know them. I really respect them and what they do. They've got some pretty serious pedigrees, both on the brewing side and the food and hospitality side. They've just got like a really killer team over there. I've just really thought highly of everybody that I've met there. And I've gotten to know Mika, who's the one owner. And I think I don't know if he uses the title of head brewer or whatever, but he's certainly like, one of the folks in charge of the beer production. But Mika's a great guy, very intelligent, and we spent some time together first at CBC last year in Indianapolis. And
Sick.
that's where the idea for this beer came from. There's a unique malt in this, which I'll tell you all about. But he and I were at an event after CBC, kind of had shared an Uber, and we're kind of riffing about this malt. And then this is actually the first collab beer we ever did.
Okay.
And as of today, it's the only one we've ever done. So, which I think is pretty unusual. I feel like collabs are very, very common. And the fact that we've been open for almost 3 years and we've only done one, it's certainly not because I don't like people. I love other people and doing things, but I think I kind of had my head down and was really focused on just keeping up and developing this business. And it's not like I was, turning down collabs, but this is the first one. We just had a really great conversation about this and said, yeah, we should do this. And it was a couple months later till we actually pulled it off. But anyways, the whole concept, we both really have an affinity for, Czech beers and technique and really traditionally brewed stuff. And what we were riffing about, there's a malt house in Indiana called Sugar Creek, and he does some really interesting things. And I probably should have brushed up on the exact details of this, so I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, and my details might be like a bit off.
Do you want me to look it up while you're talking?
Sure, you can correct me in real time.
Yeah. As you talk about it, I'll get the thing to look
Yeah, so this is a malt called Edelweiss. And there are actually two different Edelweiss malts in here. There's Pilsner and Vienna.
Yeah.
And
A brewery, True History uses this stuff. Okay.
I bet they do. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and this malt in particular gets used. I heard of it because some of like the cool kids in lager production are using it a lot.
Yes.
So I started reading about it, and we had not worked with Caleb at Sugar Creek prior to this, but generally it's an old world barley variety. I believe it is, if it's not it was one of the early varietals that was used in early like Czech Pilsner, Czech Pale Lager production. Yes. I haven't even poured mine yet.
Sorry, I got excited. I was smelling it. I'm like, this smells so fucking good. I need to.
I was just too busy talking.
Wow, dude, it's like I'm keeping you talking, brother. I can't even.
I was credibly accused today of one of the guys that works with me of being a world class chatter. So
you did actually tell me that, and I was like, well, you're coming to the right place, brother. We have no time limit. So
yeah.
Cheers, legend.
Cool. Cheers.
Ooh. Oh, it's so different to the Waylander. I love it so much that it's definitely immediately I'm like, oh, this is Czech.
Yeah, right.
The beautiful bitterness and the malt is just money.
So
yes, keep going. This is the old world Czech-style lager malt is what I've found here on the website. So I think this is the same one.
Yeah, and I believe the backstory to it is I believe he went to like malting school in Europe. I don't know this guy. We've texted and maybe talked on the phone once, but I don't get me wrong. I like him, but we don't know each other real well. But I believe the story with this malt is that he had studied somewhere over in Europe, like learned the malting trade, and was really interested in this malt, but it wasn't really available. And got it, I believe, from a seed bank. So it is not something that's like in production. I don't think Edelweiss is the name that it was known by. I think he calls it that. But he brought some back to his farm in Indiana, and I think grew it and propagated it, and then seeded that out and grew it again, and until he had enough to malt, and then malted it to a really old spec, I believe from a hundreds-year-old malting textbook that he had. So it's an old world variety malted to old world spec. I believe he confirms that you have the ability to decoct your mash before he will sell it to you, because it really requires a decoction to extract its kind of full character.
It's not can, it's must be.
Must be, yes.
So this must be step mashed, and decoctions are recommended if possible because it can't be used in a single infusion because it's highly under-modified.
Correct. Yep. And we have the ability in our brew house to both step mash and decoct. So we are well suited for this. And so we put together a recipe with Mika and his team. There's also Ellen and Amanda and Eric over there. So I went out, I was in Rochester. We sat down and just kind of hashed out a recipe. We brewed it at Wayland. I've access to some really nice Czech hops through one of our vendors, and I have a selected lot. So we use some of that stuff. So it's like, it is a domestic malt, but it is a Czech, I think we say Czech. Yeah, I very intentionally said Czech-style pale lager on here. So we brewed it. It is double decocted. They came to us and we brewed it there. And I believe this had a solid 8 weeks of lagering, which we felt like it needed. And then we packaged it. We did send some out through our distribution partner. and I was surprised. Normally, like the hazy stuff flies. They actually came back and were like, "Can we get more? Like, can we get more of that Strangebird collab?" It
Amazing.
did really great, and I think certainly, I think we have a good reputation, but putting Strangebird's name on there with ours, like, certainly helped move the beer. And our same distributor does cover the Rochester market, which is about an hour east of us. And I know they had a lot of interest in the beer out that way as well. So, yeah, I love stuff like that. I love unique raw materials and researching them, something with a good story behind it. Um, and I think we have like both the equipment and like the know-how to pull off a beer like this. And it was a really fun one for the team and I really relished the opportunity to work with Strangebird on it. I'm sure we'll do something together again in the future, and I'll look forward to it.
Hell yeah, dude. I like it. I like it that I feel like it makes sense based on your branding, based on the style that you're doing, that you sort of, I feel like breweries of your caliber and what the product offerings typically aren't as collaboration forward as say IPA breweries. That it's a
Yeah,
bit
yeah,
more built into the culture. Not that obviously you are an IPA slash a crispy brewery,
yep.
but if you're, is it fair to say you're arguably more known for the crispies, or do you think it's about even? Just
I
because I'm a
don't
bit
know.
newer to the brand.
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I would think we are probably, man, I don't know. I do think we get some recognition for just like the lager program in general.
Yep.
Um, but our top seller is a hazy. The beer,
The Super
not in
Deluxe.
the tap room, but yeah, Super Deluxe, which
Okay.
that is the beer we send most out to distribution, and it seems to be well received out there. So
Gotcha.
I don't know. Yeah, I think probably those two things.
Okay.
I think some folks might know us more for lager, and some might know us more for hoppy.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay. Uh, Trying to get, when you first look at a brewery or visit a brewery, you're like, what's the deal? What's the vibes? Okay, so you
Yeah,
pull up to Wayland, you're like, all right, sick kitchen, 4 LUKR taps. Like, we'll talk about, like you said, you want to tell me the story, but we didn't get to it. Like, they got the 6 serving tanks there that aren't currently in use, but the beautiful
correct.
copper
Yeah.
things. And if I'm going to a brewery and you got LUKR taps, I'm fucking hitting that LUKR tap every time.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
it's the
Same.
greatest. It's the best, right? It's the best. But
Yeah.
your haze is not slacking. I had one of the ones we're having tonight. I had it on tap there because it was fresh, like you said, canned that day or
Yeah.
packaged that day. Absolutely as good as anything else. Like, it should
Well,
be
thanks.
spoken to. As in, like, if people aren't raving about that, then that's the gap we need to close. As in, this is
Well,
what I
thanks.
hope to achieve tonight. I couldn't believe. Not that I couldn't believe. I'm just, if the lagers are this good, it's rare that the brewery makes lagers this good with haze that good. So I love to see it, dude. It's so
Yeah.
sick.
And
So sick.
we work hard at all of those things. So thank you. But I think also, no, I jokingly but not jokingly say like no beer will ever be finished because there is no such thing as perfect. And we're always just trying to make the best thing we can. And I think we have gotten past like big changes in technique and stuff like that, and we're more like fine tuning stuff. Um, Occasionally we get surprised with something, but I think we're definitely maturing both as a brand and like a production team, and but yeah, I think part of that is never settling and never feeling like, okay, we got it all figured out. We're just gonna keep doing what we've been doing. It's like
Yeah.
we're always iterating, always changing, always trying to find ways to do things differently and better. So, um, yeah,
Yeah, it's sick, man. And working with a brewery, I think, like, on a collab on a lager like this or a pilsner like this with someone like Strangebird, who's sort of in the market but far enough away that it's sort of like
yep,
funner to do a collab, and then you're doing something like this with a unique malt. It's I think that's really cool, and it was like, this is a good move, and it's like another brand that's sort of like similar-ish positioned. Arguably, is that a fair
I
call? I feel like.
I I think so. I also like you were asking me like what are you known for? Like I am
Yeah.
aware that my perspective right now is kind of incomplete. Like, I've pretty well got my head down.
Hmm.
And I'm working. And
That's how it
I
goes.
I also have a family, so I don't go out a lot. And whatever people are saying about us, I will often go up to our front of house and be like, so what do people think? Like, or what are you hearing
What are they
about stuff? Like,
into?
what's the feedback? Because I
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
know. If I think something's sweet and, customers aren't drinking it or kind of saying like, I should know that so I can make an adjustment. But fortunately, it's largely good feedback. And yeah, I feel like I have a better perspective on Strangebird's place in the market because I'm like outside looking in.
Except, of course, of
And
course. What
yeah,
do you see them as well? Because I just put up their Instagram, and even looking at that, I haven't been there yet. I don't really know what they're looking. I feel like they seem to do a bit of everything according to this. I would have positioned them as more of a crispy brewery, but that's not really
no,
what I'm seeing. So I feel like,
no, I think they have quite a range.
yeah,
And I don't know how they have more than 20 draft lines, so they have more beers at a given time than us.
damn.
Um, I think on paper the businesses look very similar. And there's certainly a lot of like commonalities, but they're also very different. What we do, the people behind it, and I love what we do. I love what they do. And to your point, I thought this collab made perfect sense. I was like really
Mm.
stoked. This was our first collab, and I was excited to work with them. Um, but I think they're very like technique and science
Mm.
minded. In their brewing process. Eric, who's there, is a whiz with wood age beers. That's kind of his thing, and he came from a long history at New Belgium, so they do a
Sick.
lot of like they're probably the only brewery I could name right now that's making a Flanders Red. Um,
No shit. Shit.
yeah, so I mean they do really cool stuff. And the food there is excellent. So certainly like you got to get there. Like Strangebird kicks ass, but
Hell yeah.
uh yeah, I think our offerings are quite different. I think they probably have more acclaim than we do. I know they've won some big awards. Actually, there's a big New York State competition last week, and I think they
So
won 5 medals, which is
nice.
something. And they've also been named as like one of the top brew pubs in the U.S. and stuff like that. So they're certainly like on some radars. Um, and we haven't had that kind of press that I'm aware of, which is fine. But yeah, they're certainly like doing a lot right.
It makes it I like that, and I think it's a good look for, like we were saying, like similar-ish brewery. Well, similar-ish as far as like classy, high, like what I would call like fine beer, like really like
Yes, absolutely.
high. You know what I mean? Higher position. I don't want to make it sound like fancy because it's for everybody, but you know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah,
something about,
no,
and
like
even you just look at this branding and you're like, oh, okay, sick. It tells a story, and this reflects the experience in the tap room, I think,
yeah,
in the
I think
best
so too.
possible way. That was all
Yep,
very intentional, I imagine, from the packaging to the
for sure.
the dope tables, and like I think it's like sort of is the tables marble or the floor?
The floor is polished concrete. There are
Some
some
marble tables
tables that are
is.
marble. The one we were sitting at was marble.
That's probably
Most
what
of
I'm
them
thinking of.
are oak,
Okay, like a
and
mix.
a
It's
friend
just
a friend of mine built them all.
it's sick. I love that. That keeps it
Yeah.
local and cool and just classy, I guess. And there's different approaches
Yep.
to branding, and I feel like that's what appeals. And I think that's usually the type of thing that, like, I don't want to be, what's the word? Not generalize from that, but like, say, like my missus has been to a bunch of breweries. She's the reason this beer pod started. She's more of a wine person, but then I show her take it to Wayland, and she's like, oh my fucking god, like she's even drinking the beer. She just tries not to, just for calorie reasons, as opposed to not enjoying it. But every single time, she's like, both times she had the winter line, and she's like, oh,
Oh,
this
sweet.
is incredible, and love that she sees Luca. She's like, that's what she wants to drink, and then she'll
Yeah.
have like wine or something like that. And your wine list was also very solid, which was which is perfect. So then people can kind of bounce around, which is what she did, and it kind of went well with the food and everything like that. So there's something to be said about the branding as well, that sort of like matches that experience. So from on that note, real quick, then the design. So one of your partners was the designer, and you're saying she
Hmm.
did some she does like, is it fair to say like celebrities' houses and stuff like that?
One that I know of.
Right off.
Yeah, so
That's
she was recently featured. I was telling you about this. She was recently featured in Architectural Digest, because she worked with Matt Milano, who's a Buffalo Bills linebacker, um, on his house in East Aurora, which is the
okay.
next town over from Orchard Park. It happens to be where I live. Um, I, bu- I'm I'm pretty sure his house and mine are a little bit different, but uh,
I
uh,
mean, you know,
but he's a I don't know him at all. I've never met him, but it seems like a pretty interesting guy, and I don't know, probably different than what one might picture for like a NFL player. Um, but anyways, they worked together on his home, and she was featured in Architectural Digest. I believe Wayland was also shown there. And I don't know everything
as
that
some of
she's
her other
worked on.
work.
Yeah, I don't know everything, but yeah, she's been featured for some other work, and I know, she and Brad, one of my other partners, are also partners in a new restaurant in Buffalo called Mira, and she did the design there, and that's also. And the one thing is, they're not all samey. They're all pretty different. But she just has a great eye, and does a remarkable job with the design of the spaces. So, yeah, Wayland was, the concept and space of Wayland was very much her thing. Um, and she's gone on to do some other like interesting and notable things since then, and I'm sure she'll keep going.
That's awesome. I found the so Mira MIRA. Is that the one in
Yeah.
Elmwood? In Elmwood,
Yep. Yeah.
adding that to my list. You're giving me Buffalo, and you're giving everybody here some Buffalo.
Yeah.
I just trying to always like keep it up to date. So if I'm ever there, I'm like, where do I want to go?
Yeah. So they're
Mira.
partners, business partners in all of these restaurants. So the Grange
Okay.
was the first. They have one in Ellicottville, which is called West Rose.
Okay.
Um, Also great if you or anybody listening is ever down at Ellicottville skiing. You probably know West Rose, but if not, you should go there. There is also Wayland Taproom above that, a small space, but pretty cool spot.
Oh, I've
Um,
seen this Westeros. I've absolutely seen this.
have
I
you?
feel like we almost went there one time. This is so Wayland coded.
What's that?
Like it's so Wayland coded. The the very top of the website.
Oh
It
yeah,
looks sort of
the
similar
geo
to this.
shapes and stuff. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Is that the same graphic designer?
Same firm, same
Same
creative.
firm. Okay.
Yeah, same creative
Love it.
agency. Yep.
Oh, and this is tied into. Do you know what? I think I either saw the place or I checked it on the Wayland website because it's linked to the website.
Oh, that would make sense.
That
Yeah.
could have been where I saw it. I was like, Jesus Christ, this place looks insane. It's so
Yeah.
consistent. My gosh.
Yeah, West Rose is great. Um, they also have a bakery that's just up the road from Wayland, which is more. There's no seating inside. It's more grab and go, but like the food's
Okay.
excellent. And they
What's that called?
actually, it's called the Grange Outpost.
Oh, that's the Grange Outpost. Okay.
Yep. And they actually produce like a lot of our sandwich rolls and like our pretzels that we serve at Wayland. So they, wholesale that stuff to us. Basically, it is a separate business.
Incredible. I
Um,
love it. I found this architectural digest with this house. It's stunning, and there are
yes.
little elements. Like there's one room in there that is very reminiscent of the Wayland atrium with the the pointy
Yep.
roof.
Yep.
Here that's like a living room. It's just this beautiful house. My gosh,
Yeah.
stunning, stunning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
she's a beast, and her name's Karen, by the way, right?
Correct. Yep. With a C.
Yeah,
Yep.
with a C, Caryn. Shout out
Yep.
Karen, dude, because she's on some shit.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
killing it. Good for her,
Yeah.
man.
I think her profile and reputation continues to rise. So good for her. Yeah.
I love it. I think it's really cool that there's like a this is that's involved in the brewery and doing all these different things, and all of you have done cool things along the way. That's like contributes to a sick brand like Wayland. I think it's like I know it just brings all of these talents together, and this and the outcome is this. No wonder it's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Like every
Brad,
part of it.
the other one is a chef, and he's not working in the kitchen at Wayland, but he's certainly like directing that and putting the right people in place. So Chef Jacob is the one, day to day running the thing, but
Okay.
Brad's certainly very involved in that. So Brad's one of my uh, partners in the business. But
I see
yeah,
that.
and all of his restaurants where he has a hand, and he cut his teeth elsewhere in the country. He spent some time in Boulder and New York City before coming back home to Buffalo and starting some of these restaurants. And where I got to know him was there's a restaurant in the town I live in called Elm Street Bakery,
Okay.
and they ran a dinner program for a while, and he was running that back in the day, and it was when we first moved to town before we had kids, and we would go there, had an open kitchen. We'd sit at this bar, and knew he was into beer, so I started just, and I traveled a lot for work at the time, so I would bring him beers that weren't available on the shelf here and just give them to him. Then he'd throw us an appetizer or something like that, and that's how we got to know each other, and we got to know each other better as time went on. And then ultimately, he's the one that reached out to me. It's that conversation that is what become Wayland.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's so cool how that kind of happens. Like, you just sort of have a career and you're meeting different people along the way, and then opportunities get presented and it's like, oh, this makes sense. Like, that is probably a question for you. Being that there was someone you were sort of like, slowly like, I've been in situations like that before for sure with the fizzle out. Like, I'm sure many people relate to that with when you're a thin man. Why did the situate the when they approached you for Wayland, why did that click for you?
Huh. It's funny, like a week or two before, because my wife and I had talked and kicked around like how we might open a brewery someday.
Okay.
And I had talked about it for years and just kind of dreamed about it. And I actually like intentionally had a conversation with her. I was like, "Hey, listen, I actually owned a business with my dad, doing something totally different, and I knew that I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. And I had a conversation with him about it, which he was very receptive to, and he
So,
understood. It was a great business and a good job, but I traveled a lot, and I was, you know, 34 or something. I was like, I can't. I think in 2019 I spent over 90 nights in a hotel, and it's like I got a
okay.
family. I
Oh,
can't. I can't do this for the rest of my life. He started that business when I was a senior in high school, so it was, and I'm the
okay.
younger of his two. Um, so he definitely understood. But I said to my wife, I know I got to figure out what I'm going to do professionally differently. But I told her I have put to bed the idea of a brewery. I'm done.
It's
I'm
over.
gonna
It's not happening.
I had like I have a really good friend who works for a bank and was gonna get me a job and like or try to help me get a job in like the technology division of the bank, and I'd have been good at it. I'd have been perfectly happy, and I truly was like at peace with that. And she was like, okay. And like a week later, Brad texted me and it was and said, "Do you want to come sit down with us?" And so I had to
Um,
go back to her. I was like, "Remember that
that,
conversation we just had?"
about how
Um,
I'm not going to do that no more. No.
but we had always said, like, because we used to go to the Grange, his one restaurant, a lot, and it was always our special occasion restaurant, like birthday, anniversary, like we're on the Grange. And I was always like the food was always amazing, but I was really impressed with like the quality and consistency of the service.
Right.
And I would always say to her, if ever I did this, I would really want to talk to him because I don't know how you do that. I never worked in hospitality. I don't know how you find the right people and train them and motivate them and like just have that level of service. So he was already kind of like always kind of in my mind of like if I was gonna try to do this, like he's a guy at the very least I would pick his brain. Um, and so when he was the one that reached out to me, and great reputation locally, knew him well enough that I kind of knew what I was getting into or
Okay.
who I was getting into it with. So when I said to her like Brad wants to talk to me about opening a brewery, and she was like, well, obviously you're taking that meeting. Um,
Right.
it's
What are you going to do?
it's just on its face, it's a good opportunity. Um, so yeah, and it kind of went from there. And so yeah, it really,
It just
uh,
it just clicked. But
yeah, I mean, just the idea was like kind of like, well, obviously,
I mean, yeah, it's like the fact that they've got these other two spots that you already frequented as a patron that
yeah, they
you
two at the
enjoyed
time, yeah. Now
at the
there's
time.
five total.
which is insane.
Yeah.
And everything is just, we were looking at the websites as we sort of were talking. I was looking at the websites and be like, all of this shit is crazy. I remember checking it because I was looking at Wayland as we were deciding to go there and seeing what else was linked. I'm like, oh, okay, same people, and now you're piecing all of that together for us. It seems like it's a no-brainer / home run for you as a brewer this was your first outing as a partner and sort of head brewer / I guess brewing operations. I guess, are you physically putting grain into mash tuns, or are you like writing recipes? Sometimes. Okay, so
yeah, I certainly have a hand in every recipe. I mean, I'm very hands-on. Like today, I ran the canning line. I moved. We have 2 separate cold rooms. I moved about 20 half barrels between them, reorganized the one. I don't always, but I'll crush in. I'll mill in.
okay.
I've not been on the brew deck the last 6 months as much as I would like. I hope to get that back, but part of that, I'm pretty involved in our new facility being built, and I also have a guy that works with me that I really trust, and and he's great. My attention to detail is very good, and his is better. So
I hear that from people in your position a lot, where it's like, this dude is better at doing that. I'm probably better at using my skill set in this other way.
Yeah, and I don't know.
I think that's a good thing. It's
I do too. I do too. I don't need to be on the deck for every brew. Like I love it. That's my happy place. It's my favorite thing to do.
Sick.
But it doesn't often make sense for me right now.
Yeah, as a partner, sometimes you just gotta do something. But it's cool that you're able to scratch that itch, get your hands dirty when here and now, or as often as possible.
I hope soon. I hope and I expect soon that'll, like, all of my responsibilities will kind of stabilize, and I'm gonna carve out multiple brews for myself every month. A, because that's what I want to do, but B, I'm also like, I designed that system and I know it, and we're always learning new things about it and better ways to use it, and things go wrong. And if I don't brew for 8 months and I get rusty and something goes wrong and I don't know how to fix it, like, that's a problem. So I do want to keep my head in the game. Yeah.
That is so smart. One of my things when I was in it, we own a business too, so I feel you. And one of the things that like always pissed me off as an employee most of my life was whenever a manager tried to tell me what to do and they hadn't done the job that I was doing. Like, shut up. Like, you didn't fucking know. So even now with social media, I'm more of an operations dude, but I got to know what's up. Otherwise, I can't be telling any of our employees what to do if I don't stay on top of everything. And I feel you. I think it's important to be able to do it and to come in there and still be able to do that thing that you're managing people doing whilst retaining those different responsibilities. So I feel you, man. And it's sort of, that's the heart of what it is that you're doing. So you always want to like keep one little foot in the game type of thing.
Yeah. I'll tell you, to your point, I have a thing that I've always like kind of lived by, and I think about it often. And I've told the guys that work with me multiple times, I will never ask you to do something that I wouldn't do myself, ever.
That's the move.
And I mean it. And actually last week, the lauter tun has a false bottom. It's like 6 pie pieces. And they're these huge stainless wedges. And you got to take this panel off the side, and it's a 2-person operation. You got to lift it out, pass it out. But you're in a confined space, and there's a manway in there to get in. So I need a ladder to get up on top of the thing. I gotta lower myself through this manway, and it is the diameter of this opening is just slightly larger than my torso, and I have to go arms up to get down in it. Like, my shoulders are too broad to go through it. But then you're down in this thing with a fucking spinning blade. I mean, the blade isn't spinning at that moment, ideally.
Of course,
but
ideally,
the one guy that works with me is quite a bit smaller than me. And the last time I did it, he said, "You want me to do it next time?" I was like, "Next time." And this is, a little bit ago. I was like, "Next time," but this time I'm doing it. So, and I'm always in there cursing, like, "Motherfucker," and like, moving these big panels around and stuff. But it's like, it's got to get done. And, I'm passing them out. And so we're starting again this past week. And he said to me, "Didn't you say you're going to make me do it next time?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it again." So I just, I don't know.
Can't help yourself. Honestly, well, in the best of ways.
In the best of ways.
In the best of ways. Yeah.
I don't know. I, honestly, well, in the best of ways. I don't know. I don't know. I, honestly, well, in the best of ways. I don't know. I, honestly, well, yeah, it's a shitty job, and like it sucks. And there are some shitty jobs in the brewery, and
A lot.
yeah, and I don't know. I think it's just not really in my constitution to just be like, well, you fucking do it. Um,
Is it like
I
it's only fair type of thing? Is it like, look, we all got to split this bullshit? You do this bullshit, I'll do this other one. That's
Yeah, I
nonsense.
think it's like, hey man, you schlepp most of the kegs around this joint. Like I can do this one. I'm not going to give you all the shitty jobs.
Totally.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so and that's kind of more where I'm coming from. It's certainly not because I enjoy it. Uh, but
I think
yeah,
it's important.
I think I'm in a kind, not wholly, but kind of unique position in that I am the boss and I am an owner, but I'm also one of the guys. And sometimes it's a little weird and a little, I have to like think about where I fit here and like, uh, and how, how chummy I am or whatever. But like, I get along with all the guys that work with me, but there's definitely a balance to be found in like being the boss and one of the guys.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And that's always hard to sort of where is that line and how do you find
Yeah.
that? Like at least you're making them at the very least, you're like, all right, well, I'm willing to do the dirty work. And if they see you do the dirty work, I mean, they're not going to be like, man, this fucking guy walks around, even if he owns a place. Like, he's making us do all this stuff. Like, they can never point a finger at you like, you don't do this. Like, well, yeah,
Yeah.
I've done everything that you're doing, and I will do it again if I have to. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think, I don't know. I think that's something admirable. And I don't know if you remember being an employee that, I just remember it's been a while for me. I've been full time since 2015, but prior to that, it was just something that always like pissed me off because sometimes you
Mhm.
just know that someone who was managing you. It's different when it's an owner. You're an owner brewer, like you'd obviously, if you're a brewer, you've done the dirty job. But if you're not willing to do it anymore, if you're above it, then employees could feel away. So I think it's like if I was a shift brewer or whatever, like like a regular brewer or whatever, a system brewer, and I saw that the owner slash brewer was jumping into tanks and doing all the same, exposing themselves to the cleaning chemicals and all that stuff, I'd be like, all right, this dude's, he's with the shits. Let's go. Like,
Yeah. Like he's in it with
I'll
us. Yeah.
yeah, I'll work hard. And like, there's obviously that delineation as you were saying, but I feel like it's a meaningful um gesture from your part,
And
which is authentic.
I think the guys get me in that it's not calculated. It's not,
Mm,
I'll do this shitty job, but then not another one for 6 months. Like I'm not just
right.
like punching the ticket to like, justify or anything. It's, I do try to just keep it even and keep it fair and make sure
Yeah.
I'm not just the boss, but also a contributing member of the team.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I think it's just an
Yeah.
important thing. Yeah, that you
I,
obviously found
I
that
think
nice
that's
balance.
kind of sort of part of my wiring, but I also do remember I had a summer job. I worked on a landscaping crew, which I actually loved it. Worked for a company that owned a bunch of hotels, and it was a rich family that owned the place. And I remember one day they had me come in on a weekend, and uh, I, I I guess I got paid, but it turned out they had me come in. The owner had bought an old Toyota Land Cruiser and wanted to refurb it to turn it into some sort of like safari Jeep kind of thing, or like but he had a bunch of like angle grinders lined out. Like didn't tell me what I was doing. I was cutting grass and stuff and had me come on a weekend running an angle grinder, like cleaning the rust off the axle of this project truck of his. And it's like, what? And and he's over in the
Right.
corner drinking coffee and yucking it up with somebody. And I was like, this guy's a jerk. Um,
Right.
and I think that was, I don't know, formative maybe. And I remember thinking like I wouldn't treat my employees like that if I were in that guy's
Mm,
position.
you'd
You
be
know,
right there with him.
yeah, or I feel like a project like that is one that you do because you like the project, not just the end result.
Mm.
Just making your employees do the dirty work. You know,
Totally. It reminds me of that meme. There's like I don't know if you even call it a meme, but it's like almost looks like an old Egyptian thing where it's got like it's like a it's like a boss versus a leader or something. And it's got like the
mm,
one guy kind of like seated up and all the people are carrying him and he's got a whip and he's whipping all the people like old Egyptian style. Then it was like a real leader where he's out there with the other guys like pulling the thing with him. And I was like, yeah, you got to be out here grinding with the like there is a separation, but there's the fact that you can remember that, and that was part, potentially some of the reason that you behave the way you do is like, I don't know, that's meaningful. And I think it's like you want people to it. I don't know. You never want people to feel like shit. You never want people to, because I've been made to feel like shit as an employee. I don't like it.
Sure.
I don't want to work for you no more. Now I'm gonna slack off as much as I can. I am gonna take a shit exclusively on the clock forever. That's what I did when I worked as an employee. I would refuse to take a shit at home. I would only take a shit when I was clocked off. That was like the big joke. Yeah, bro. I'm doing it on your time. I'm getting paid. To take these. But I did that because I felt like you didn't appreciate anything, and you kind of aspire to be the opposite of that, and to sort of like work there alongside you. Particularly something as like hands-on. It's like beer is a science and an art. It's not just like this like building something. It's like you've got to be into it, I think, to make. I don't know. Have you ever had a beer from someone that was great, that didn't particularly care about it? I don't. Probably not. Maybe, but probably not.
Probably not. Yeah. I will say I've had, technically excellent beers that were lifeless, there's just like no soul to it. And like, you can kind of tell.
Yeah. I feel like you can, Once you've had a lot of different, from different places and, big, small, in between, and you sort of like, you start to tell. You start to be able to tell. So I think it's interesting. Did you want to take a quick break?
Sure can. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel it might be time, and then we'll get into the next one.
Yeah. All right.
Boom. All right. We'll be right back. And we are back. And we, young sir, are going to do this little gem right here. The Weissbier, the Hefeweizen.
Yeah.
This one. Is this a nice little, like a German style?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
I feel like, I say this every time we have one on the pod, I don't really drink these too much. So I'm always like, I don't know, I kind of like appreciate it on the pod. It's back in the day, I don't know about you, but in the early 2010s when I was sort of getting into beer and stuff, I was like heavy into like.
Yeah. I mentioned earlier when I mentioned my second stint in Pittsburgh as an adult, and there's this chain called the Sharp Edge, and it was great. Katie, my now wife, and I would go there, and I remember she was really into Polliner and Franziskaner, and I was always trying the weird, like crazy Belgian stuff, but she would always get those, and I would always steal a sip and be like, yeah, these are perfect. I don't know, like, they're wonderful. Yeah, and probably even before I really kind of got into beer is around the time that like Blue Moon became a thing.
Right.
I remember my uncle, who I have a good relationship, my mom's younger brother, he always had Blue Moon, and we'd go to like a family party at his house, and there would be a
Blue Moon case.
Have all the orange wedges cut ready to go and everything. But this one in particular, cheers. This one, Jesse, who's one of the brewers that works with me, and Jesse's great and super talented. Nice. This is his beer. And we, try to have a range on our portfolio, and we always had a wheat beer, but my wheat beer that we always ran was a Belgian wheat beer called Larkspur. And that was a beer that we opened with, and we've made it a handful of times. We'll make it again. I love Larkspur. It's great. But we wanted to mix it up, and we made this. And I think this is the first recipe of Jesse's that we brewed, of which there are many now. And even the ones that aren't, he's got a hand in most, if not all of them. It's he was very specific about which malts he wanted to use. It was kind of like, I said, well, I could get this, which is just like that from this other supplier that I use more often. He goes, yeah, but that's not what's in this recipe. It's like, all right, I'm picking up what you're putting down. Like, yes, they're both red wheat malts, but there are differences. And then, he specified what yeast strain he prefers and even kind of the fermentation schedule. So, we do allow this to free rise to a degree, allow the temperature to climb a bit, just from the yeast producing heat. And then, so we've made this a handful of times, but Actually, Tommy, the area sales manager for our distributor, really liked this beer, and he had a party at his home last year, and he bought a sixtel of it from us. Um,
What's a six still again? Is like a 30, 20
six,
liter, 30 liter.
yeah, it's roughly the equivalent. So it's
Yeah.
5.16 gallons.
5 times 4 is 20. So yeah, just over. Okay, so it could be the 20 liter-ish ones. Okay.
Yeah, thereabouts. Yeah, so they're the logs, the tall, skinny ones.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah. Um, but yeah, so he bought a smaller keg. And he really liked it, and we had made a batch. He said, "Hey, can I get, a little bit of this to offer up to some of our accounts?" And I was like, "Sure." So we sent a couple of kegs, and it was pretty well received. And last year was our first year working with them as our distributor. We had our core lineup set, but we didn't really have a seasonal lineup. We had an Oktoberfest and we had Winterland, but not much beyond that. So we've kind of ironed it out for this year. And he was the one that said, "I really want that Weissbier to be your spring seasonal. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Can we do it?" And I was like, "Sure." So here we are. And we just put it out pretty recently, and it seems to be going quite well out there. Um, and I know we're really happy with it. It's funny. You really got to be careful with the yeast because this is one we're pretty precise on our pitch rates, how much yeast we pitch in each beer, and this is one you want to underpitch. You want to stress the
Mm.
yeast so that it produces that character. And so when we buy a fresh pitch, it is to our specs, but then we harvest and repitch. We really have to like be careful, and I have to kind of fight my instinct to just use the typical ale pitch rate that I look at, because this is like significantly less than that, but like that's what
Mm.
makes this beer what it is.
Interesting. I like it. So who? I mean, this is exactly like this is a not. I stopped liking Hefeweizens and saisons too. Like if you just say the generic saison
Sure.
because of that bubblegum, banana, and clove that
Yeah.
from the yeast that like didn't really like. I don't know. It was just like always over the top, and I feel like in the North American ones, like Canadian and US ones,
Yeah.
like the more standard ones. And then as I sort of went along and started having uh, maybe like breweries like yourselves who would sort of like I feel like breweries like you guys are perfect for Hefeweizen because you do it in a way that's really what's the BJCP on style for the German style Hefeweizen, which is
Yeah,
exactly what it's meant.
absolutely.
It's not a bubblegum banana clove bomb.
No.
It's like a real balanced refined drinking experience. And I
Yeah.
find this is exactly in that vibe. Like normally I'm a little bit like if I'm having one, but this is fantastic. This has got it's got the banana and clove vibes, but it's like subtle
It's
and it's
imbalanced. Yeah.
balanced. Yeah. And is that a fair take that you guys were very trying to be strictly, to
Absolutely.
style? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that goes for any of our like kind of classic styles that we do. It's like we're going to use the right ingredients and just
Yep.
try to make the best, our best example of this that we can.
Yep.
And um, there's some that I feel more strongly like, man, we fucking nailed that.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
others like this is very good, but there are things that I can still learn here. I mean, there's always things I can still learn, but yeah, we very honestly do still reference BJCP style guidelines. Especially if it's not a
Mm.
style I've brewed in quite a while.
Right.
Um, I really want to brush up. I've got a lot of books that I still reference back to. I still read Jamil's Brewing Classic Styles, and I've got a small library of books that I've read over the years, and I do still dip into those and make sure that I'm on track with what I'm doing.
That's good. I mean, I guess you always got to brush up, eh? You always got to be keep yourself on point.
Yeah, I
I
don't know.
mean,
I feel like no matter what you're doing, the worst thing you could ever do is think you've got it all figured out and that you have nothing left to learn.
yeah, couldn't agree more. And particularly with the styles like, that mostly what we've had tonight, these are all four of these beers actually are all traditional European, well, except for Mexican lager, which I guess is more the American style, as we said. But the rest are, German Pilsner, Czech Pilsner, and now Hefeweizen, sort of, those European styles that have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years that you want to do justice to. And it's like that cool resurgence of like you've been drinking craft beer longer than I have, based on your story earlier. But like, you know how when you get into beer, it's like that. You go through all the domestics, and then you go through maybe some other fun domestics, which sounds like maybe was your thing. But for me, there was a bit of that. And then you also went through the European lagers that were all in, that are just available in the local, LCBO in Ontario and things like that.
Hmm.
You're drinking all of those. And then you get into the Belgians, you're like, oh, that's super fun, because there's all these different like flavor profiles, and you go through all of those things. And then all of a sudden it's 2015, and now there's like 2016, there's haze and sours and crazy stouts and all these different things. So you're going into that, and then it sort of like comes back around, and you're like, I just want to, like we were saying earlier, you got a lager or a pilsner or a LUKR, let's go. That's all I want. And I feel like it's like there's this new resurgence, and I don't know. I feel like it came from, you mentioned Suarez earlier. The very first time I remember having a 3-step slow pour was at Toast in Brooklyn, and it was a Suarez, and it changed everything for me. This would have been 2018, I believe, and I couldn't believe how sick it was. I'm like, oh, this is what everyone's gassing up lagers for, and it sort of like put me on a bit of a trajectory to search that out more. And there's like this sort of beautiful, like, new wave of breweries like you guys that are doing these styles and doing them exceptionally well at a level that is that I imagine that those people came out here, they'd be proud to see, be like, yo, all right, people are killing it, it's cool. And then Hefeweizen, I feel like, fits into that. It's probably less popular, would be my guess, based on, I would imagine it would sell probably less than the lagers and pilsners. Is that a fair take? Or not, or maybe not.
Yes, but still plenty well enough to keep making. And
Okay.
for us, wheat beer was never. And I do look at our sales data, especially in the tap room, like what's moving, and I can usually tell because it's a separate cooler that the draft beer gets served out of, and we recover the empty kegs on Mondays. I'm always looking at that like, oh shit, we went through 4 halves of that one beer last week. Like, that's
Right.
crazy. And and then sometimes it's like, we didn't kick one of those this week. Like, what's up with that one? And then I'll go look at like our POS sales data, and it's like, okay, well, we're probably about to kick a keg. Like, people are buying that beer. But so
It's
wheat
not
was,
flying. Right.
yeah, which they're not all gonna.
Of course.
But whatever the wheat, and you just manage production to that, because we always want the beer to be fresh. So, I want to have a wheat beer on there. I know it's not going to be in the top 5. So it just means I don't have as much. And that's the thing, especially with if it's just a taproom beer and it's something like a Weissbier, I might only brew 10, 12 barrels of it, because I want it, whoever's drinking that beer, I want it to be fresh. I know roughly how long it's going to take for that batch to turn and be ready for something else, or a fresh batch of it. So if it's going to take 5 months to go through 20 barrels of Hefeweizen, I don't brew 20 barrels of it. I want 2.5 months worth, or 2 months worth, whatever.
Gotcha.
So we do try to manage production to that. And that'll be when we open this new tap room later this year. Everything that I think I know about our throughput is going to change, and I'll have to adapt. But hopefully I'll have some more systems in place, and I can keep up a little bit better. But I think that's gonna be a good problem. It's like, we'll be able to try more and new and different things, because I have more outlets to move it more quickly.
Gotcha. Let's talk about that, since we've mentioned it a few times. So the new one, we're recording this on Wednesday, 25th of March, and this episode is going to come out next Wednesday, which is the April 1st, I believe. This new tap room is in the city of, you did tell me, and I think it started with L.
Yeah, Lancaster.
Lancaster.
Which is a town. We're actually in the village of Lancaster, which there are both.
Okay.
And the village is in the middle of the town. But
Gotcha.
and I'm not sure about Lancaster. In the States, some local governments are combined, like the village and town. Some are separate. I'm not sure which. I know Orchard Park, where the main Wayland is, those are 2 separate local governments. But anyways,
Yeah, it's
but it's about.
complicated, it sounds.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
this isn't a small local government podcast, is it?
Well, I mean, it could be if you want to. I mean,
We
it's
go there.
bureaucracy. Let's fucking go.
I think I've told you everything I know about it. I'm out of things to talk about, but it's about a 20-minute drive from Wayland.
Okay.
It's pretty close to the airport.
Okay.
And it'll be different. It's much smaller. So the main Wayland with its four buildings is about 20,000 square feet. The new one is 2,000 square feet.
Okay.
Um, I think I mentioned earlier, it will not be Wayland running the kitchen by design. We're partnering with Buffalo Bros Burgers, who are awesome,
Love
and
it.
I think the draft lineup will, at least in the beginning, will mirror Orchard Park pretty closely. But if the sales show us that they're looking for something different, we'll adapt. Um, it'll look different. I actually don't completely know what it's
Mm.
going to look like inside. What the finishes and color selections are and stuff. That's not my area, and I know it'll be awesome, but I know she's making final decisions right now on that stuff. So I'm excited to see it. But yeah, so it's much different. Wayland's this big um, facility. The other one is much smaller. It's literally on Main Street, West Main Street. It's 11 West Main. We've got it's really walkable. It's got a big covered awning out front, which we'll have a bunch of seating out there. I think it'd be really cool, welcoming. It'll probably feel more like what you expect when you walk into a craft brewery than
Okay.
Wayland does. I think that's an advantage to Wayland and Orchard Park, but I also think there was an opportunity to do something different, and I don't know. I think it's more about not getting stuck into one thing. Um,
Right.
and so yeah, so the space had been a meadery for I think 7, 8 years, and they did not close. With the owner, who's a great guy, Joe. What he expressed to me was really found to like justify being in that space, they needed to be like a tap room with a restaurant and a food offering. It's just not what he wanted to do, and
Right.
I think they considered other options. I think they
Mm.
almost built out a different space and to keep doing what they were doing, but ultimately they decided to close that facility, and he's consolidated his operations in with another producer nearby, which I think was a pretty smart move. So we had been looking for another location. Uh, we kind of had a short list of locales where we thought what we wanted to do would make sense. Um, but also like we had a loose concept. It was like, well, and once we know where we're going, then the concept will kind of form or come together from that.
Hmm.
So I didn't know these guys real well, but I saw on their Instagram that they announced that they were going to close, and I think this is in like September, and they were going to close at the end of December. So I took one of our guys over. We have kind of a consulting CFO, and he and I and others were working on kind of finding this second location where that was going to be. So we live near each other. I said, hey, let's go over here and get a drink. I got something. I want to show you something. And we looked at a few spots, and we were sitting there drinking they made beer as well. So we're sitting there drinking a West Coast IPA, and he's looking around at the place. He goes, I think this might be it. And I go, that's why we're here. This is it.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so from there we, been putting our plans together, and now we are underway building out. We're hoping to be open end of May.
Okay.
Um,
2026.
yes, so pretty soon, hoping like 8 weeks,
Like, yeah, like I guess, yeah, 8 weeks from when
yeah,
this will come out. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. It's
Okay.
it's largely cosmetic.
Okay. Because you're not
Uh,
brewing out of there, and they've already got lines already installed and stuff, right? So it's just cleaning them up and
I'm building a whole new bar and draft system.
sick.
Yeah, brand new, and it will have four Lukers. Um,
Good man. Let's
yeah,
go in
yeah,
Wayland style.
yeah.
Exactly what we would expect.
Yeah, four Lukers. Yeah, the beer program is very similar. I think the wine program will be almost identical. The cocktail program will be a little bit different. I think a little bit simpler, but still really good.
Okay.
Um, and I think a much more like casual vibe to the place. I think,
Mm,
Wayland, we do have these big projectors that will show, sporting events on and stuff. But
yep.
I think this new one, it'll still be like a beautiful space, but I think it will feel more like a bar and a place that you would go to like right now everybody's up on the Sabres because they're killing it right now, and
Shout out.
it'd
Nice.
be a place to go watch the Sabres games or
Right.
Bills games. So yeah.
Dude, that's cool. And I looked up where Lancaster is. It says it's 14 miles in Erie County, 14 miles east of downtown Buffalo.
Yep.
So it looks like about the same-ish distance if I'm looking at this map here, direct east of Buffalo as opposed to Orchard Park, which is kind of like southeast.
Yep.
From there, which is pretty sick. So is it technically from Buffalo? Is it closer than Orchard Park?
I would say it's about the same. Yeah,
About the same. Okay.
Yeah, just different directions. Yep.
So it depends on the vibe. That's sick because I haven't been around that area yet. Like
Yeah.
where Lancaster is, and I obviously got more to explore as we're talking about with East Aurora and Orchard Park there, which I'm we're just talking about off air. I'm fucking amped to check that out this summer. That's so cool, man. I like it that there's like different vibes, and I feel like it fits in with particularly your partners as well that have the other restaurants that we were talking about, and that's kind of been their thing. And now this one, it sounds like you've been a lot more involved in this side because it's a second tap room for Wayland, and you're the beer guy, and you're kind of like, are you like running? I mean, obviously the design people, like you said, Karen and the design folks are kind of taking care of that because that's their thing. But you're kind of like otherwise running the show as far as setting it all up for sort of how you want it to be in comparison to the current location.
Certainly on the beer side. I think the layout and just kind of just the flow of the space. There are three of us that are really kind of collaborating on that.
Nice.
And then I think where I fit and where I can be helpful. So we don't have a general contractor for this build. And to the degree that we do have one, I guess it's me. But all I mean by that is like I'm working with the framer, the electrician, the plumber, because I understand those things. I can do those things. And it is like a pretty light lift. It's not crazy. It's not like what we did in Orchard Park. And my skill set is not design. So to make the place, I can weigh in a bit on, flow of seating and stuff like that. And certainly like the bar area. But I also do defer to the people that like know that stuff better than I do. Like our bar manager, if I lay out the bar stupidly, he's the one that's got to live with it. So, I've gone to him and be like, does this make sense? And if it doesn't, set me straight. Just want it to be a good, easy place to work with him. And then, and I've kind of joked, but I mean it with some of the contractors. Like I'm the shell guy. I'll get the shell done, and she'll make it look good. So, so that's kind of how that's going. And I think, it's kind of my baby. I'm the one that's always pushed for this, and that was more for, a couple of reasons. I touched on one earlier, which is the Orchard Park tap room is great. We do a great business there. We get a lot of people in there. I sell a ton of beer. It's great. We also have our distribution relationship, which has been really good. But I feel like having this other outlet, like even just one more outlet where we're able to serve beer direct to consumers, like number one, as a business, the most profitable thing we can do is pour glasses of beer and serve it over the bar. So we want to do that. But also like on the creative side, like I was saying about batch sizes and brewing the right size and how long a batch takes to turn over on its draft line and stuff like that. This accelerates all of that, which I think there's gonna be times of the year that it's very difficult to keep up with. Sure. But the brew team and I have more ideas than we have draft lines for. And I think this will really open things up for us and allow us to do all of the things that we want to do and really make it like a fun brewing job. Which it already is.
Yeah. I'm so sorry to cut you off there. I was thinking, as you just wanted to jump on that point before I forget, when you're saying like there's the more draft lines than you're currently allowed for, would that mean, for example, you could do a beer that say at Orchard Park it wouldn't turn over quick enough, but because you're essentially splitting the batches between two tap rooms, it's arguable you might almost be able to make twice the different beers. So you'd maybe like the beers would turn over quicker, therefore you can make different stuff more often, and it wouldn't maybe there'll be some things that aren't always available except for the core flagship stuff. But say you came up with a sick idea and did this different IPA, and like, all right, well, half the batch goes to Orchard Park, half goes to Lancaster. Boom, that's going to tap through. Yeah, it's kind of that process.
That's exactly my mindset. Yeah.
And maybe double isn't the right word because you don't know what the sales percentage are going to be, but either way,
Right.
you allocate accordingly. Maybe it's 70-30 or 60-40 or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And you're able to just sort of push stuff out more. So that means things are going to be fresher and you'll be able to innovate quicker with you and the brew team who have these sick ideas. And whereas now you might be like, oh man, fuck yeah, things aren't moving. We're going to wait another month before we put something else in. You're like,
Yeah, this is going to be more like,
probably,
how quickly can we turn that tank so that I can get the next thing in there? You know, because we're going to need it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And
that's fun.
You know, I think too, talk about like constant learning, and you know, every time we brew a batch, we learn something, and that just means more at bats, more experience, more refining what we're doing. Like the more we're brewing, the better we're getting. So, yeah, like that's the most interesting part of it for me.
The more at bats, I love that way you said. That's exactly what it is. Just keep going, then you keep refining, you keep getting better. Maybe you do one thing one time, and then all of a sudden it pops. You're like, sick. That was our first try. Let's make it better.
Yeah,
because people really loved it. So let's do it again. Yeah.
Yep. It can always
if it's an IPA. Yeah, it's like a 2-3 week turnaround as well. It's not anything crazy like a lager that sort of clogs up the tanks for a while that you're probably going to stock up with on the quieter months or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. That's exciting. That's a really cool way. One of the things in New York State, do they restrict how many other tap rooms that you have? Like in Ontario, you can have 2. So if any of the breweries that you and I have talked about that you know you have friends at, if they open the second location, that's it. They can't open another one under that brand name.
So it is not that restrictive.
Good.
Certainly there are restrictions, but there are multiple different licenses in New York State. And what most breweries would fall under is a microbrewer, which is like under 2 million barrels a year or something like that. Like, so
which
it's
is basically everybody.
Which is pretty much anybody. We are technically what New York State calls a restaurant brewer, which is often just called a brew pub license.
Okay.
So for us, we can have up to 5 facilities under that license, and each one can produce up to 5,000 barrels.
Sick.
And we're going to be at about 3,000, 3,200 this year. So we're not even there yet with number 1 yet.
So then you get 10,000 in total, even if there's 2 locations. Does that mean 10,000 out of 1 location? Even if it's for 2? No. Lancaster would have to have their own facility.
So, and that's the thing. Lancaster is actually not a satellite.
Right, it's just a tap room, right? Oh, it's
under
not
New York State law. We just have a separate. It's under the same corporation, but we just have what's called a tavern license. We're just the bar.
And then you just buy the kegs off.
I just transfer them. Yeah,
you just transfer them. You don't have. Okay. So it's not like.
Yes, all the production is just reported. You know, we report production federally and to the state. But it's all produced out of 1 location. Whether I sell it in Orchard Park or Lancaster through my distributor, they don't care. It's produced and we pay excise tax on the production.
Do you get up to 10,000 barrels for then because there's 2 locations, or it's still 5 because it's
still
technically
5.
being being produced from 1, so you'd have to produce 5 in each.
Yes.
So if you got a 3rd location with tanks, then that's another 5 or whatever.
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, but 5,000 barrels is a lot of beer.
It's not small.
It's a lot of damn beer. So, and we're still growing towards that. So, you know, and there's also things, if we got to a point where we wanted to expand our current facility and just brew 10,000 out of there, we could relicense. I could get a different license that permitted me to do that. I could relicense as a microbrewer, and there's some potential challenges to doing that, but the stuff we'd figure out down the road.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, then there was the Lancaster facility or tap room, or bar. It wasn't ever the intention to have a separate brewing facility because you probably haven't maxed out the existing one.
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha. So it made no sense. So you might as well just have a bar and don't have to deal with the extra 5K because you don't need that shit.
Don't need it. Yeah, it's
Understood.
not necessary. Yeah, and we have. I don't have much excess capacity right now. I do think by the end of this year, in the brewing building, there's an office that I think I'm gonna have to demo. And I have
Make
to
that
figure
into
out,
some tanks.
yeah, to put some tanks in. And I actually I added some drops to our glycol headers this year, in preparation for that. And I did that in January.
Okay.
And the whole point was if some tanks come available or we decide to jump forward or Lancaster does better than we expect and I need tanks in a pinch, you have to cut where we were at with the glycol system. You got to cut into it and drain it out and be without. And I was like, if that happens from like April till September, it's not
That's a
going to
problem.
happen. I can't
Yeah.
I can't go down refrigeration that
Mm.
time of year. So we bit the bullet and did that in January of this year so that if this year shakes out and we need capacity, I can plug and play some tanks. Um, so
Smart.
we're not there yet, but I've always kind of got my ear to the ground, and it may happen.
Damn. Where would you put your office? You got like a backup space?
I mean, maybe this room in my basement that I'm coming to you live from right now. There is an office building across the street from Wayland, which has some vacancy in there, and we do lease parking from them. And it's a short walk.
Right.
You can
Worst
see
case.
it from our parking lot. So that's kind of my leading idea. And there are some other folks that could probably use an office that don't currently have one. So if we were going to do that, I probably wouldn't be the only one to benefit from it. So
Gotcha. So that's not the end of the world.
yeah, no. And the rent hopefully wouldn't be too bad. So we're not quite there yet, but when the time comes, like there's options.
Okay. That's pretty sweet. And
Yeah.
then beyond the Lancaster, which obviously, yeah, we're hoping for end of March, end of May. I'm sorry, which is
Yeah.
amazing. Was that the sort of, was there further aspirations, or was that kind of like, for now you're
Um,
just like, step by step, let's just take it easy. Like,
I'm certainly very laser focused on that right now. We got a pretty tight time window trying to get it done. I think we're well positioned to get it done, but I've always felt like the taproom model made a lot of sense. Um, and there's nothing in the works, but I do think a third location like that would make sense in the future.
a third
Um,
tap room or third brewing space.
I think a third taproom.
Okay.
We'll see. I do think we can probably expand and find ways to squeeze more production out of the existing production space in Orchard Park, that it can grow with us to a point that there's going to be a ceiling that will hit at some point. But I think it can continue. We can continue to squeeze more production out of there. And I think it could support the main location, distro, and two more satellites. And then beyond that, I think that's a bigger conversation.
Right.
And at this point, my guess would be that's good. Doing 5,000 to 6,000 barrels, whatever it is, a healthy, a solid distro relationship. These three tap rooms that do well. Why do we want to like make this super complicated and go really big? Like, why don't we just enjoy this and
Mm,
focus on quality and taking care of our team and stuff like that? Like, that's more where my head's at.
right.
Um, but I'm also not the only one, and um, other and we'll be living in a different world in a couple of years, so we'll see what that looks like.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think we'll get this one open, and number one, make sure we do it right and don't overextend ourselves. And I think once we feel comfortable with what we're doing with everything, then have a conversation about, okay, what's next. But that's not a conversation we're going to have over and over and over again. I think it's just like, I think the
Get to the
final
point.
state is not that far away.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. I like that. I like that. Must be like cool to know, like, all right, this is the max we want to get. And I feel like I hear that more and more from breweries, where I feel like at one point maybe it was like, let's see how big we can get this. But it's almost like what would you call them? Not multinational, like the national brewers and stuff, like, like the whatever, Sierra
Like
Nevada, Sam Adams, like those type of shits.
yeah. Yeah, I mean that's like big craft. I think a lot about like regionals, like guys
Oh,
that are in like the
thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Regionals.
yeah, like the 20 to 50,000 barrel size.
Right.
Um, I think
That's
there
probably
was
a
a
little.
time, I mean, not so long ago, going into it and saying like we're going to be a regional brewery and we're going to
Right.
start at 2,000 barrels and but we're going to be built to expand to 30. Like that
Gotcha.
wasn't a dumb idea. Like
No.
it it made sense and lots of people did it successfully.
Mm.
Um, but things have changed a lot. And I think to enter into the market now and say we're going to be a regional brewery, like now, like if that happens, if you
Yeah.
get on that trajectory and you get there, good for you. But I
Right.
think to just go into it and say that's what we're going to do, I don't think that's a great like assumption from day one.
I think you're right. The way that beer is going, the way that things are moving, it doesn't feel like achievable or even desirable as
Right.
far as the challenges that come with that and the 3-tier distro system and like freshness, how much is moving. And then you got to have a sales team that's going to be pushing stuff to
Yep.
grocery and like da da da. You've got all of these different other challenges that are over and above like coming to you directly and knowing that whatever I hit that fridge, it's going to be fresh
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're moving through product. And then even if I go to cool spots like Brewed and Bottled up in Lewiston that we were talking about, shout out Chris, like
Yeah.
he's always
Hey,
had your
Chris.
stuff in there. Yeah, shout out Chris. I still gotta get him on. That like he's always had your stuff, so to be like, I know I can go there and get some fresh Wayland,
Yeah.
and don't have to worry too much about. And I feel like that's like I don't know, it's changed, hasn't it? I guess that
It's
the
changed a lot. Yeah.
that aspiration from breweries, wanting to go from that larger thing, which is just typically a part of capitalism. You just want to keep growing and keep going for the sake of growth, which is fine. But I feel like beer has been pretty like, nah, man, we want to stay this size. It's doable. It's manageable. If we go much bigger, the product might suffer. I do not want the product to suffer. I don't want people to have bad experience with what it is that we do. And I don't
Yeah.
know. That's really admirable and like honest, I think,
I think it's also being a realist about,
where the
where the
beer's at.
industry's at. Yeah, like
Yeah.
and beer has not collapsed. Like there's a correction happening. And
Exactly.
there's still meaningful volume. It's not down 70%, it's down 3 or 4%. Um, there's still a lot of people drinking a lot of beer. Um, and
Is
but I
is
think I think what
yeah.
they're looking for has changed, and what appeals has changed, and what kind of gets attention has changed. Um, yeah, it's funny you
Mm.
mentioned Chris. I've known Chris. I don't know if you guys talked about me, but I've known Chris for shoot, probably 8 or 10 years. Um,
I should have told him that I was going to meet you when I went and saw him as I texted you right before I came to see you. I don't know why I
yeah,
didn't bring it up. I should have brought it up, but I'll see him again soon.
yeah, I've known Chris and his wife Jess for a long time. Lewiston is pretty far from Orchard Park.
Yeah, 45.
Um, yeah, it's a good hike, but yeah, we've known them. We had really close friends that lived in Lewiston, and he and some of my friends Wes and Mal had been really good friends with Chris and Jess, and we would all hang out on occasion. Unfortunately, Wes and Mal moved to Colorado. I think they're happy there, but unfortunately for me, they moved there. Um,
Shout out Colorado. That was pretty dope.
yeah, and he's certainly getting into good beer out there.
Oh yeah.
And he's not in the industry, but is pretty well connected, and we have a lot of fun chats about it. But yeah, I know Chris and I bump into each other often, and every time I see him, it's a joy. So yeah,
Hell yeah. I like that, and I feel like he's a such an asset to Western New York beer for us as Canadians popping over the border. It's like 10 minutes.
hmm
I didn't even need to put ways on. I know my way all the way around Lewiston now. It's hilarious. And he's just been like if he posts something, he's very good with posting all the new shit. But like, yo, put this aside. Can you put this aside for me? So I pull up. He's like, bro, I got you. Before I even ask, he's like, let me go grab that for you. And
yeah,
then he always has like great, fresh, fun stuff from all over the place. And
yep,
I've met people at Brewed and Bottle that have become friends, like Canadians,
yep,
funnily enough, that I've met there. And
yeah,
yeah, I just think it's such a really important spot to have for craft beer, for Western New York craft beer. I feel like at the very least, if you want, it allows us up here, who once again 10 minutes from the Nexus Bridge, to dip down and be able to sort of experience what it is. And he always has local stuff. I think that's really cool. Like he'll have stuff from different places. Like he'll get Trillium and he'll get fucking all sorts of different, stuff from like resident culture and
Yeah.
Wilson's and Vermont stuff or whatever. But he always has Wayland. He always have Mortalis. He'll always have Other Half. He'll always have all the great shit from the local spots as well. So there's sort of like a one-stop shop if people don't want to make the trek down, the 45 from Lewiston down to Orchard Park, then they're like, they can grab the stuff there. And I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's really like a necessary thing to have. And I didn't realize you guys were mates like that. So I will absolutely chat to him about you next time I go there. It's sick, man. I love it. That makes me really happy to hear. I think I broke the seal, so I feel like I need to go to the bathroom again real quick.
Okay.
And then we'll get into these last couple.
Sounds good.
You good? All right. We'll be right back.
All right.
And we are back. Uncle PJ, if I may call you that.
Sure.
I'm sure you have some people that call you Uncle. We're doing a Westie.
Yeah.
Yeah? There you go.
Yeah.
Westie time.
Nieces.
There you go. See? It was I felt like that was accurate. So, Westie, this is the I've only ever had Haze and Crispies from you, so I'm actually really excited for this one, bro. Tell me about case study right here.
Yeah, I love case study. So this is the one. This was packaged the day I saw you. So this was packaged on Friday.
Let's go.
Full Send, which I think we'll drink next, was packaged like 2 days before that. So both packaged last week.
Incredible.
Case study. I call it a modern West Coast IPA. So it is mostly Pilsner malt. There's actually a couple of different Pilsner malts in it just to get a little bit of. I didn't want it to be too neutral. I wanted to have a little bit of character. But that's just the backbone. It's all about the hops. So this is the one that we're really like putting the hops in the cannon and just like fucking just firing away.
In the cannon, I love it.
Yeah, there's a lot of hops in here, and it's all like fun shit. So there's some Centennial. It's mostly T90 hops, but there's some Centennial. The Centennial we get from Crosby in Oregon, and these are their estate grown. Yeah, we have several great partners, and they're one of them. And I've dealt with a handful of different people there. My current rep Michelle is great, and we've got a real like friendly relationship. But so the Centennial is an estate grown Crosby. It's it's a classic C hop, but there's the first time we opened the bag of their estate Centennials, it was kind of a holy shit, and it just smelled like Fruit Loops cereal, and in the best way possible. So there's that. There's some Strata, which we do also get from Crosby. I'm not sure if it's Strata that they grow or not, but there's Strata T90 and Strata CGX, which is their cryo type thing. So it's a concentrated hop pellet. There is also some Mosaic, and we select our Mosaic. This year, our Mosaic is from Jackson Hop Farm in Idaho, and that was the one that was the easiest choice for me when I was at selection. The Citra, I kind of went back and forth different lots. The Simcoe, I went back and forth. The Mosaic, it was like, bang, that's it. That's the one we're getting. The one. Yeah. And then the last hop that's in here, and there's a bunch in the hot side, there's a bunch in the dry hop. The one that's in here that I think is super fun, and there's definitely like a dankness to this, right? Like, it's Columbus Cryo.
Columbus Cryo, okay.
Which, the beer was good. It was a little too fruit forward. I needed a little bit more like earthiness to it. So I reached out to Matt, who's my rep with Yakima Chief, and again, great relationship with him and with YCH. And I said, Matt, I need something. I remember exactly how this conversation went because it was pretty funny. And I was like, I need something specific from you. I am looking for like the stinkiest, like dankest Columbus that you have. And he's just silent on the other end of the phone. And then all of a sudden he goes, yes. Like, all right. So now I didn't know this at the time, but they have a party during Hop Harvest. At a dive bar in Yakima. It's called Dank Dive. And there's a funny video of it that you can see, and like there's literally like piles of onions and garlic and stuff on tables. And you see guys just like taking a bite out of an onion like it's an apple, and that's where they pick like the dank. It's not just Columbus, but they basically come up with a blend of these really dank lots of Columbus,
Okay.
and those go into a blend that they cryo, and that they just call it the dank dive blend. And
Okay.
so there's Dank Dive Columbus Cryo in this beer, and I'm
Mm.
happy about that.
Dank. And is the onion, does that have anything to do with the final product?
Well, there's no onions in this beer. No onions
No.
were harmed in the making of this beer. Um,
I'm not getting
but
many onion notes
no,
or
but
garlic.
no, those dank hops, like
Mm.
sometimes it gets referred to as OG, like onion and garlic, and I don't perceive any in this beer. But that is part of what they're looking for, like at that party. They're looking for like, those hops that have kind of turned oniony and garlicky. And
Right.
that's not what we got here, and that's not what I was looking for. But the party is kind of a gag, right?
Yeah.
But I actually got to go when I was at Hop Selection this past September. I happened to be in Yakima the one day they were doing that party, and I was like, well, I'm going to
What are you gonna
that.
do?
Yeah, not gonna go to that. Yeah, so it was great, and it was a good trip. That was one of the fun stops there. We also went to Bale Breaker, which is a great brewery
Oh, I've heard about them.
on a hop farm, owned by a hop farm, a big one. Their beer garden outside the tap room there's all these hop vines growing all around it.
Okay.
Being in the Northeast here, it was mosaic. There's just all this mosaic
Everywhere.
growing around us, and they don't grow them out here. Like it's not a thing. And
Right.
so we're standing there looking at these big, beautiful cones, like these huge cones that just like plump and ready. And they're probably no good. They should have been harvested weeks earlier if they were actually going to be used, but they were there for decoration. But I said to Matt, I was like, "What variety is growing here?" Because those are all mosaic. I was like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me! This is wild." Um,
That's so
so yeah,
sick.
cool experience. And then also went to a place called Single Hill, um, that was also a really good brewery, and it was cool. The other thing we did on that trip, I traveled with Mika from Strangebird, Garrett and Alana, who own Grow Brewing in New Hartford, New York, which is probably a good 3 hours east of me. That's closer to Utica.
Okay.
And John, who's one of the brewers with the New York Beer Project locations here in the Western New York area. So we were all traveling together, but we stopped at Freem Family Brewers in Hood River.
Nice.
Have you been to Freem?
I have not been out to Oregon yet,
Um,
unfortunately for me.
that was a I don't life changing is a bit much, but
It's close to.
it was a very like kind of important moment. And it wasn't a moment; it was like 6 hours because we were actually asked to leave because we were holding down the table so long. It was done so professionally and subtly. Like I was like, that guy's good, but
Nice.
yeah,
Well done.
they needed the table. Like he did a killer job with it. But I
They
think
have
I
a
had every beer
Milwaukee
there.
tasting room? No, they
What's
have a
that?
Milwaukee tasting room.
Milwaukee, Oregon.
Oh, God damn it. Okay, you're right.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the spelling and that smelled different. Okay,
yeah,
there you
not
go.
Wisconsin.
Okay, damn it.
But
Good for them.
I mean, they're a big brewery, but everything I had there was like,
Killer.
oh fuck, like god damn it, this is good. Um, yeah, everything. I mean, the food too, but oh shit, one of my dogs is going nuts, and it's like late.
Is he
But
okay? Do you want to go fix that? Is it okay?
eh,
If you need to, let me know. It's no stress.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Probably just barking at me talking.
Hey, he's like,
Um,
hey, Pops, get off the fucking. Get off the
no,
fucking.
it was a great night, like just out with those guys. And I don't get out a lot. I don't get to socialize with my peers in the industry that much.
Yeah,
And
I bet.
it was a great crew, and like great setting, good conversation. The food was awesome. The beer was unbelievable. It was just like such an incredible night. And but every one of those beers I'm drinking, and like I make good beer. I'm not like the best that ever was, but like we make good beer and we're always getting better. And I'm sitting there, every sip of beer I took at that place, I'm like, I got a lot of work to do. Just it was just really good. Yeah.
That's sick, man. I mean, look, it's good that would you say that that's the inspiration for this particular beer for case study?
Sorry, no, I'm off
Or
on a tangent.
no, I
But
love the tangents because we were talking about hop selection. This is all part of it.
yeah, no. So this one in particular, boy, I've had a couple. It's probably more beers that I've read about, and I mentioned my good friend that is friends with Chris from Brewed and Bottle West, who's out in Colorado now. He has sent me
Yes.
some beers from Westbound and Down, and one is Spirit of the West, and he sent me some other one-offs, and these guys are like well regarded for these beers. So I've had those, and I also had
Yeah.
Timbo from Highland Park in Los
Oh, in
Angeles.
LA. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep, and I've had I had one that Green Cheek did a collab with Other Half. It was called Dank Dads.
Okay.
And those are all beers that kind of informed this one and like kind of where I wanted to go with it. And we've done some other West Coast before we landed on case study. We did one called Good Clean Fun that was mostly Mosaic. We did one called Flying Colors that was, I think it was Mosaic, Simcoe, and Crush. Um, which I think when we brewed it, Crush was still called HBC 586.
Okay.
That one was
Oh yeah.
really damn good. But uh, we knew we wanted a West Coast IPA in our distro portfolio, and I kind of knew where I wanted to land, and I wanted it to be not terribly bitter, but like have like a present bitterness. So I think a good West Coast IPA like this is like especially good with a burger. I
Hmm.
love West Coast in a burger or even like a pizza, but wanted to have like good modern hop notes, but be really lean and tight and bitter, but not oppressively so. Um,
Right.
and I think it took a couple of cracks to get it quite right, but I'm pretty happy with where it's at now. And then I also really like the label and color scheme of this, and I don't know, mine's a little blurred, but our now former, she's since left, but we had a marketing director named Alex, and we're still friendly. I just saw her last week. Um, we knew we were doing this beer, but hadn't been named yet, and we didn't have the label for it. And
Okay.
she's really interested in architecture, and was talking about these homes in California that were they're called the case study homes, and this came up around the time of the big fires, maybe a year and a half ago,
Hmm.
and I think it came up because one of those homes was destroyed in the fire, and it was considered a significant like cultural loss. So, anyways,
Okay.
that the uh, case study of the name is a reference to those homes, and then she called the color scheme for this can like a Palm Springs motif, and I think for a West
I
Coast
can see
IPA,
that.
it all makes sense.
Yeah.
And that
That's
was one we were
cool.
kicking around different ideas and stuff. And I remember I was homesick. I had COVID and I was like living in the basement, so I didn't give it to everybody else. And
Okay.
yeah, I was like hiding out in the basement. I remember she texted me, she said, I think I got it. And I didn't even know what we were talking about. I was like, You got what? And
Yeah. What's
uh,
going on?
she's like, this West Coast. And she had mocked up the concept and everything and sent it. And I was like, no notes, let's go. Um, and
I love it. Palm
yeah, it's
Springs is such a great word for it.
right. Yeah,
Just
the
yeah,
pink and the baby blue and the dark green. Like, yeah, of course it
it's
is.
beautiful.
Um, yeah, so but that's one too. Yeah, the guys that work with me have had a lot of input on this recipe and really getting it where we want it.
Mm.
Which our starting point was pretty strong, but we knew we needed to do a little bit of work and develop the beer a little bit. And I think we're at a point where we're gonna like maybe tweak it a little bit, but we've been really happy with it, and we're gonna like we just a lot of times we'll do that. Like we're really happy
Mm.
with the beer. We know what we want out of it is going to change at some point in the future, but let's just enjoy it and be consistent with what it is right now. And then where it needs to go next will become clear to us. Like I don't want to
Mm.
change something when I don't know what I want to change yet. So, I think we're at that point now. It's like we love this beer, we're really happy with it. Um, I'm really enjoying it right now. Like it's super
It's
fresh and
phenomenal.
yeah, but so I think we'll have kind of a sensory discussion, and probably look at what raw materials we're using in it, and like, okay, like what direction do we want to massage this in, and how are we going to get there?
Mm,
And that's a fun part of the process. We just recently, and it's always like we're changing like 1% of the beer. We're not
right.
wholesale changing it.
Right.
But just, we
Little
want to tweak
tweaks.
it, and yeah, tweaks. Um, yeah, and I really enjoy that part of the process.
Hell yeah, man. And like if you already like love it, and like I feel you once again. This is what is this? This is Wednesday night, so like 5 days in of this being packaged. It's exceptional. It's so bright. It's so crisp. It's so tropical, and I feel like it'll. It's not even that bitey or anything. Which I'm
No,
down. I'm down for bitey, but like this is. It's so like. I feel like this is almost like I don't want to use this word for Westy, but like a gateway Westy, where it's sort of like
yeah,
all of the proponents of a West Coast IPA without that tongue stripping bitterness. So it sort of
right,
gives you that. It's almost like a pilsner with the body,
yep, yep,
and then it's got these beautiful like the hop mix that you laid out there, with that dank dive Columbus and all this cool ass
yeah,
shit that gives people this like cool grassy piney or like touch resinous like kind of like thing going on without being over the top.
yeah,
And I feel like even if you're not heavily into Westies, you could be introduced to this and you'd be like, yo, this is sick. Or if you're a West Coast nerd, like you said earlier, this is a new school West Coast
yeah,
IPA with some old school. You got the Centennial and the Columbus, and the other was
yep,
Mosaic and Strata. So,
yep,
you know, half and half new, half old
pretty
school.
much, yeah,
This is money, dude, and I love that you're doing a Westie. I feel like it's absolutely on brand. I fucking love West Coast IPAs. There's not a drinking session that I have that I don't have a Westie. I like to have like a couple of different like a light lager, a dark lager, like a what Czech pilsner, like a dark pilsner, like a haze, a Westie, and then maybe like a double IPA, and then something else like a sour or a stout or like low ABV stout or something like that. I just think this is exactly the type of West Coast that I want, and also the ABV 6.5
yeah,
money zone for me personally for
yeah.
Westies and for New England IPAs.
We don't make much bigger than that.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
we
say this is
have.
about the peakish that you do.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's at even full send, which we're gonna have next. That was for a long time a 7% beer, and then it was a 6.7, and just confirm.
Yeah.
I think,
I think it might be 6.5.
6.7. Yeah,
6.7. Okay.
yep, yep.
Don't tell that
So
to a 10-year-old.
yeah, God, I got
Yeah, you would know. I've only
yeah.
seen it on the internet. I've never seen it in real life. Do they
It's
really
a
do
real
the
thing.
thing? They really
Oh
do it?
yeah, it's a real thing. Yep. Yeah, and there's also 41.
What's
Um,
41?
b- I don't know. Put
You
six
have to
seven.
Google. I saw a video of this Canadian YouTuber who went to Atlanta, and the dude who did 6.7's a basketball player, like a high school basketball player.
Yeah.
And he asked him I tried to find the original video. I couldn't find it, but he just said, he was like, I don't know, it's nothing. He was rapping along with the song and he did that. And then all of a sudden it became a thing. And
It's
that was, I
yeah.
don't know.
I know what it means. My kids are 7 and 10.
So there,
They don't do it
don't stop.
much. It's still there, and like my wife's phone number ends in 6.7, so it comes up fair,
Ooh, a lot.
fairly often enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't
But
heard 41. Oh no. Is that worse?
it's like 6.7 is this, and like
Yeah.
41 is like this. I don't know.
I'm glad not to be 10,
They're
PJ.
in bed. You want me to go get them?
No, please. No, they're okay. I want to let them rest. They need their
Yeah,
slumber. They're
they do.
young
They
and
sure do.
sprightly. I'm just
Yeah.
glad that our childhood wasn't on the internet. I feel like it's pretty sweet that we got away with it.
Yeah,
They
it's funny. I've had conversations with other parents, and one guy was like, you know, we were doing way dumber shit. Like, if this is as bad as it gets, like,
That's a
that's
good
fine.
perspective. That's a good.
Yeah.
It's just silly, but it's like annoying.
It's
I'm sure we did something way more annoying. I'm sure we
oh
all
yeah.
did. I just don't. We all don't remember from
I have
alcohol.
I honestly don't have a problem with it. My kids don't go nuts with it, and like my
That's
kids
all
are
you
like
need.
genuinely hilarious, and so whenever they do use it, it's like well timed. Um,
Nice. That's good.
and
Funny
yeah,
kids.
Yeah, and they'll catch me, and it's like, oh, you got me. But
You got me. I said it. I said
yeah,
it. Well, it's better that
yeah,
than like loving 6ix9ine and thinking that's funny, and that was what we thought was funny. So
yeah, right.
much
Or
less problematic and a little more innocent, annoying
the
but
one,
innocent.
the one my buddy referenced, which I assume because you grew up in Australia, right?
Yes, sir.
There's the pro wrestler Triple H, and he did the like the
The thing over your groin. Yep.
yeah,
So
and
I didn't fuck with that, but I was very aware of it.
well, I didn't even watch wrestling, and I
Neither
did
did
it,
I. Okay,
and
there you go. You know
I
what?
didn't even
Probably
know what
did
it
too.
was. Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of like you thrust your groin at 10 and then do this little thing over X over it. Like, all right.
like the 6'7" thing is completely harmless, and like let them have their
Mm.
thing. I don't know. I have no problem with it.
I
So,
like your attitude. Thank you.
oh,
You,
thanks.
you
Yeah,
know, I like that. I think that's a
yeah.
positive way to go. I like this. This is the energy we're doing here. Okay, I love it. Why are we talking about the kids in the 6'7" and
Well, the ABV of full send is 6'7".
that's what we're talking 6'7".
Yeah,
I'm sorry, that was all 100% me. But yeah,
that's all
the
right.
6'5" of this and six
Yes.
0.7 is both between 6 and 7% personally is kind of like I think a phenomenal range because it's enough flavor to keep you going, but you can also crush a bunch of them.
Yep.
Whereas as you start to get higher, I think it's dope, but you just want less of them. And then I just came back from Australia, as you and I were talking about. Everything there is basically XPAs. It's sort of between 3.5 and 5.5 for the most
Yeah.
part. The the vast majority, like 90% of the beers, they'll do some haze and stuff, and they'll do double IPAs or whatever, but like not anywhere near this. And I'm like, at the end of the trip, I was like, if I see one more fucking XPA, I'm gonna lose my mind. Like it was cool, but it was too much. And it's because I'm not much of a pale ale guy here. Not just because this is the ABV I just want a little bit more flavor. Whereas my co-host Nate, who does all the Canadian ones, I told you about him. He likes the double IPAs, but he's a father of two young children, like much younger than your kids. So he likes fewer beers, but he would be down for the higher ABV stuff. I'm like, I get it. If you're going to have one IPA per night, it might as well be 8%, like, or plus,
Yeah.
or a triple, 10% or something like that. And it's no big deal. Whereas I want more volume.
Yeah.
And I just find that's an interesting thing. And I think this is great. And the question really for you would be like, what was the thinking with keeping the ABV sort of sub 7 across the board?
Good question. That was not something that from like day one it was like, whoa, this is part of what we're doing. Um, but I mentioned before, like part of the identity or the intention from the beginning was to be accessible and be a place for everybody and not be exclusionary either in the name of the place or the product offering or the setting. Like really wanted it to be a brand and product offering that there's something for everybody. And so number one, we started with mostly smaller beers. The biggest thing we had at launch was a double IPA that was 8%.
Okay.
And it was really good and I had great feedback on it, and we made others, but I pay attention to what sells and the rate of sale, and higher ABVs sold slower. It
Gotcha.
was interesting. Draft sold slower,
Hmm.
packaged to go sold pretty well, which I think if you think about it makes sense. Like, all right, if I'm gonna drink an
It's a home
8%
beer.
beer, yeah, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
do that at a place I have to drive home from. I'll do it once I'm there.
Yeah.
Which I can appreciate and I appreciate and respect. And I'm
Got
of the same mind.
responsibility.
Yeah, I'm of the same mindset. I do not play with alcohol and driving.
Likewise.
It's
It's not
just
worth it.
dumb. Why would you?
Nope.
Um, and but then you look at it, it's like, well, people seem to be really responding to like this 6.5% stuff. So why aren't we just doing more of that?
Hmm.
Um, and over time, we started with a lot of like smaller, more accessible beers. We had, a beer we called Baby Martzen, and it was like a 4.2%, kind of like Oktoberfest kind of thing. It was awesome, and I drank the shit out of it. But and I would like to bring that one back. But we had we called Pub Ale, but it was a best bidder. It was 3.5%. Um, like we had a bunch of small beers, and we had so much positive feedback on that. Like, thank you for doing this. I really enjoy this. This is where I want to be, and really in a lot of my decision making with beer, like I'm looking at our sales data, but I'm also like thinking about myself as a consumer. I think I'm a pretty average consumer. I'm not, and I don't think I'm an outlier like in any regard. Um, and I find myself reaching for stuff that's lower alcohol.
Right.
Because I can enjoy a few more. And they're just more refreshing, I think. So really like it's a bit sales data and a bit my personal preference. And it's just kind of where we've landed, and it seems to make sense, and I continue to get positive feedback on it. And there's some beers that I'm going to take too much smaller. Like Full Send is going to be like this beer. I feel like it needs to be 6.5%. This case study. Um,
Big time. This is
I think
exactly where it needs to be, dude. It's
right.
perfect.
Anywhere lower, you're going to lose something. Like this is where it
Yes.
needs to be. And Full Send it went from 7 to 6.7. I think it's going to stay there because
Okay.
I think that's where it needs to be. But Super Deluxe, our core hazy, which I love, is 6.2.
Okay. I don't
And
think I tried that. Should have.
I should have given you some. Personally,
Next trip. Don't worry. I'm gonna be back, big boy.
yeah,
I can't wait.
yeah, I love that one. And 6.2 is my sweet spot because,
Okay. Let's see
and
it.
that beer can be a little bit like problematic because especially during like a heated Bills game, they go down real
Oh,
quick.
too quick. I was
And
gonna say
it's
it looked
it's
a little less
6.2.
murky than the Full Send because Full Send was like murk.
Yeah,
And I just looked at some of the pictures on Untapped here, and Full
yeah,
Send looked a little. Sorry, I'm sorry. Super Deluxe looked a little like slightly lighter haze, which means it goes
yeah.
down a little easier, which
That is
is
correct.
what
Yeah,
you're referring to people at the Bills games or what a Sabres.
yeah,
Maybe they're a little excited or not so
yeah,
excited.
yeah. And it's actually you can get case study, Waylander, and Super Deluxe at a Sabres game. They're
At the
served.
games? At the
Yeah,
stadium?
there's one place that sells them. Um,
Dude, that's
as of
amazing.
as of right now, none of them are available at a Bills game. You got to do that at home or at a bar. Um, but that could
But the
change.
Sabres
We'll see.
games.
Sabres games, yes. There's one bar in the 100 level section. It's the craft market. And that's something I really appreciate the stadium and or the arena and the concessionaire for bringing us in. And there's that craft section is really cool. It's us and there's other half, and I think there's Resurgence.
Oh my god. Are
Um,
they ridiculous prices or they're reasonable?
yeah, they're expensive.
What are they, like
Um,
20 bucks US?
17.
Same as Canadian if you go to Rogers Center here. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Honestly, I'd
funny.
pay it. It's either that or Bud or something, right? So
A good buddy of mine gets tickets to. His brother works for the Sabres, and occasionally
okay.
he'll get some comp tickets. And we went, so three of us went, and we found it was like the week our beer started getting carried there. And I was like, I'm buying the first round. We
Of
gotta find this
course.
spot. So we get
You need the
down
full
there,
send.
and I knew they were gonna be expensive. I was like, I'll buy the first round. And two of them were looking at like hard iced teas and stuff like that. And I was like, hey assholes, you got three choices, and those aren't one of them. Yeah.
And when you hit that credit card, it's like, ooh. Do you know what's interesting? I don't want to go into it too deep because I went into it a lot in the last two pods that we did because I just got back from Australia. But the fucking price of beer in Australia, if we are going to go and we have this in a can or on a draft in this size, like a 16 ounce, you're talking at 19 bucks probably in Australia. Normal Australian dollars, which in American dollars would be 13, maybe 14.
Holy shit.
Which is Australian dollars and Canadian dollars, basically the same. Like a little bit. Australia's a touch less than Canada, but it was so like I would have spent maybe close to $400 on less than a case. Think of it like that, Australian,
My
and that's how much
goodness.
beer was. It was absolutely crazy, and it's all
Yeah.
tax. Most of it's tax. Like dudes were telling me, and everywhere we go out, you just gotta like you're there. You're like, I'm all the way here. What am I gonna do? You
Yeah.
just close your eyes and swipe the card every time. I got this round and it'd be like $57, and you're like for three beers. Fuck, okay.
I'll do
just
I'll do it at a
tap it.
Sabres game. Like I just accept like, yeah, the beers are expensive here. That is what it is. But I'm not going to drink a ton of beers here, so it's okay.
But if you're going out on a normal night, I'm talking like a normal night at
I would just go to a bar.
a nice place. Like if you're gonna get like crappy local stuff, like so when I say local, I mean domestic. Not local meaning Australian beer is fucking awesome, but I mean like domestic macro.
Yeah.
I don't know because I don't drink it, but it must be more than $10 for that. And then if you start, going into maybe like craft lagers, might be like $15, and then as you get into IPAs, it starts to creep up even more. So it's
Jesus.
yeah. So it's kind of like it's just when you said those prices, I was like, yeah, it's kind of like that's what Aussies are dealing with on the regular. And
Just
which is, so what stadium prices? I didn't go to any games or anything, so imagine.
Who's your team? You got a
St.
AFL
Kilda.
team or
Fuck yeah,
St.
dude,
Kilda?
St. Kilda.
Okay.
Do I have
Yeah.
anything? I just got I got a jersey or Guernsey they call it when I was there. I haven't had one since I was a kid, but I got one. I was sick.
Okay.
I can't wait to rock it this summer. I'll fucking rock it so hard. And apparently, dudes were telling me they just signed some young dude who's like apparently sick. So we've only won. I don't know if is any comparison to an American team, but I know the Maple Leafs have won once in like 1967 or something.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time, and St. Kilda hasn't won since 1969, and they lost by 1 point to this team called Collingwood, and so fuck them. And so apparently this year they're looking optimistic. When I was getting it, everyone was telling me, they were sending me pictures of this guy, and I was like, all right. I'm not a big sports guy. I'm just but I've gone for them my whole life. Did you have a team or anything since you sort of spoke to? I know you haven't been there, but
Oh, in Australia?
in like Aussie rules.
No, I'm aware. I'm aware of St. Kilda. That's like a neighborhood in Melbourne, right?
It's the place I bought my first apartment, but I'd gone for St. Kilda since I was born. My dad went for St. Kilda, so that's
okay.
When
but it's like
Barrack
part.
called.
St. Kilda is like an area within Melbourne, right?
Correct. I guess you call it a neighborhood, or we'd call it a suburb.
Okay.
By the ocean, like it's like an oceanside suburb, sort of in like close to the city.
But it's still like pretty urban, right? Like when I think.
Oh yeah, super. Like 5 to 7 minutes in a car from St. Kilda right to the dead downtown.
Yeah.
Super close.
I don't. There's not too long ago I could have named more teams. I know my guy Mike is it pronounced Geelong?
You said that absolutely perfectly when I saw you.
Cats, right? He's a Cats.
We call them the Kitties. Geelong Kitties. We call them the Kitties.
I will make good note of that.
See if he says it, because maybe I lived here for 15 years, so maybe I'm full of shit at this point. But I remember calling them the Kitties and thinking it was funny. So I imagine people call him, but yeah, Geelong Cats. Gary Ablett was the fucking legend, number 5 from them. He fucking dominated in the 90s. Shouts to Gary. He'd like that. If you say Gary, I'll text you to say it to him. If you say Gary Ablett to him, he will lose his mind. He would like, that's that's like deep. And you'd be like,
what I'll do it right now. What am I saying to him?
I'm gonna text you right now.
Okay.
Okay. Gary Ablett is, I believe that's how you spell his name. Let me just double check. I texted you that. I'm pretty sure that's correct. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And he played for St. Kilda or
for Geelong.
Oh, okay.
And then so he Geelong Kitties. You can say Kitties. I'm texting you that. And if you want to say this is my guy, so my guy's name is Tony Lockett, but his nickname was Plugger. Plugger, number 4 for St. Kilda. There you go. And you can say fucking dominating the forward line. Look at that. I get all the like I'm not like a dominating. I'm not a massive sports guy or anything like that, but I ask my friends to always tell me like all the slang. They always say like you get leather poisoning, which means you got the ball so much, you got leather poisoning because you're touching the leather ball so much. Yeah. It's when you hear them talk, I can't compete. Like it's one of my favorite things about Australia, because I'm like not super Aussie. So then you go there and you hear them talk. Like I didn't go to the footy because the footy's in the winter. It's a winter sport. So it starts kind of nowish. And then the grand final's in September. So I just left before it kind of all started. So there was no real games to go to or anything like that. I think my brother said there was something, but I'd left. He stayed a week extra than me, so I think I missed it. But yeah, they say some ridiculous, funny things. If you just drop a few little nuggets like that, I could just give you footy things to say to him, and he would just be like, "What?"
This is useful to me. This is good.
Yeah, I'll
Hey,
give you
real
stuff
quick,
on something. Yeah,
my earbud just told me it's gonna die, so I'm gonna try to switch to my other one.
yeah,
So
yeah.
let me
Did you want to pause for a sec, or
uh
can you
let's
hear me
just try
still
it.
if we keep
Yeah.
yapping? All right, we'll keep yapping. Um, so the reason we're talking about this, folks, is that PJ's friend Mike is an Australian dude from Geelong. From Geelong?
Yeah.
Yep. Who lived or lives in Vancouver,
Yep.
Canada, as the vast majority of Australians who leave either go to London, England, or Vancouver, Canada. And they're one of the two places. It's uncanny how ridiculous. Like I haven't been to Vancouver since 2004, and I'm excited to get back. And I just remember every motherfucker being Aussie. And I'm like, I didn't come all the way to the other side of the world to be around you fucks.
Yeah.
I don't want to be here, but I'm actually pretty keen right now. So could you maybe explain, because Mike was a big part of your sort of how you got your system, and there's
Yeah.
a decent story in there. That was some when we first connected about getting you on the pod. One of the things that we connected on was your connection to your friend Mike, and you were supposed to go to Melbourne back in the day. Didn't work
Yeah,
out,
that's
but
that's a different story, but yeah.
yeah.
Um those two stories are not related. Yeah, I mean, real quickly, when I graduated from college, I had a plan to move to Australia. It would have been temporary. I didn't intend to stay, maybe a year or two. But a good friend of mine, his family was building a home on an island off of Tasmania, and I was going to go work there, and I didn't have a plan for what to do after college otherwise. So that was the plan. I was going to do that and live in Melbourne until I ran out of money, and then come back.
It's a
None of
great
that ever
plan.
happened. uh, yeah, the construction got delayed a year. I couldn't wait. I had
Yeah.
also just started dating a girl who I was pretty into, and I am currently married to. So I think I made the right decision. But yeah, that trip never actually happened. But then, so years and years later, went through my kind of brewing trajectory, and now Wayland is a thing, and it's happening. But I had time, and I had a pretty healthy budget, and I had time to evaluate suppliers,
Okay.
and I knew what I wanted in a system, but I didn't know where exactly that was going to come from. I didn't have any like brand loyalty. I had no contacts. So I just cast a wide net, and I talked to everybody I could talk to, and really like was both hunting for somebody to work with, but also like learning at the same time, like what are my options? Like what are the pitfalls? What do I need? What don't I need? And Mike at the time was with a different company, who the other company has recently closed, I believe. But so
NSI,
we
yeah.
we're
Yeah.
talking, yeah, an American company.
Oh,
Um,
I'm so sorry. Yeah. NSI was the Canadian one who then split or whatever it was bought out or something like that.
so he was at NSI, and they were bought by another Canadian company that kind of
Crew.
no, he's with Crew now.
No.
So NSI was
Fuck.
built bought
I'm
by
gonna shut the fuck up and let you talk.
NSI was based in Abbotsford, and they were
British
acquired
Columbia.
by,
Okay.
yeah, DME, which I believe was based in Prince Edward Island. Um, and
Really interesting. Okay. All
yep,
the way to the other
and
side. Okay.
and then the whole thing went down, and there's a big long story behind all of that, which isn't mine to tell. But some of the former NSI guys formed Crew, which is who I work with. But when I first met Mike, he was with yet another company who's pretty much unrelated. It's just how I met Mike. It
Okay.
was an American brew house manufacturer that he worked for some amount of time.
Okay.
And we lost contact and then wound up reconnecting. So I had some pretty specific wants in a system, and what I've since learned was that what I was really looking for was like a custom semi-auto, and I did not want a fully automatic system. I did not want a system where I just plugged in a recipe and it executes.
Okay.
I wanted certain amounts of automation, and I wanted some bells and whistles. But part of it, I wanted to run like a pretty lean operation. And if a delivery showed up and I need to go hop on the forklift. I don't want the brew to go to shit. So that was like where my level of automation or interest in having automation was. And I had also come prior to this, I worked in like industrial technology. So it wasn't directly transferable, but it kind of put my mind in a place where I was probably approaching it from a slightly different angle than most folks do. Um, but so Mike and I connected and really hit it off and liked each other. And uh, when it came time to make a decision for Wayland, I had a very similar system quoted by Crew and another American company. And really, I don't think either would have been a bad choice.
Okay.
But we also ultimately landed with Crew, and they've just been like an excellent partner for us. And I only know Mike because of this process, and I would say we've become friends. Um, he's been out here to Buffalo a couple of times. I've been to BC once to see our system before it was torn down and shipped here because they built it in BC. Um, but then through that, I've also like made some contacts in the Canadian beer scene, some out west, some in Ontario. But it's been really like fun and interesting relationship and kind of a wrinkle to my story and like my story becoming a part of Wayland that I couldn't have anticipated. Um, but
The connections that you told me about were people that you and I are mutual friends, Adam and Brent at Four Winds in
mhm,
BC. You had Ram in Fairweather
yeah, yep,
in Hamilton. You had Max, who's now moved on, but he was at Godspeed in
yep.
Toronto. Was there other people that you told me about that I may have forgotten? Those were the
A
ones
few
that
others.
come into
There's
mind.
there's some guys I've met who
Mm.
um, I mean, not brewers, but the guys at Escarpment Labs are in
Oh, Richard
Guelph
and
and Angus.
I
And
can't remember.
there's another guy. Shoot, I'm
Nate.
sorry, Nate. Nate,
Yeah,
thank you.
Nate's a champ. He's been on
Uh,
the pod. He's a champ. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
they're all great guys.
Dude, they're so knowledgeable. It's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I've gotten to know a good handful. There's a couple of guys that are working on a brewery, I guess you would call it brewery and planning.
Hmm.
That would be, I think, in the Niagara region. Nick and Matt met those guys. So yeah, it's been really cool to get to know some of them. There's a few others too, but those are kind of the key ones. But I don't know, geographically we're close, but like they are different countries. And I don't know about you, but I can tell as soon as I cross the border, like it's similar, but this is a different place.
It's different
Um,
vibes, yeah.
yeah.
But the
Which I
friendliness remains, which is something you commented about Buffalo earlier. And I
yeah,
want to say that all the border people, meaning that like the all the American border states and towns and the Canadians, like you can tell we're all like, what's this fucking imaginary line? We're all like very, very, very incredibly similar.
yeah,
It's bonkers how similar the architecture coming from Montreal, moving to Hamilton. The architecture here reminds me of Buffalo. Like
yeah,
it's very similar. You can tell that back in the day, 200 years ago, there was no real line, and people were just
yeah,
moving
not
back and
really.
forth and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And even, Crystal Beach, there's a club here in Buffalo. I read up on it last summer, but there's a club here in Buffalo that their whole thing was going to Crystal Beach, and like it was I think a sailing or canoe club or something that was based in Buffalo, but really did all of their gatherings in Crystal Beach. And
Hell yeah,
at the time there were probably no border restrictions, and yeah, we have them now. We have them for good reasons, I think, but um,
totally.
it's funny, just so close. But anyways, yeah, so I really the guys at Crew, and it's not just Mike. I have I talk to Mike the most, but they've been really good to me, and uh, I definitely needed some support in the beginning, and they were there to provide it. And talked earlier about how challenging it was to open with the portfolio of beers that we did. Like, could not have done that without their support.
Hell yeah.
Um, so they've been really, really good to me, and I'm hoping to get to Philadelphia to CBC because I don't get to see them often, but they will be there next month. Um,
Yes, I saw that.
yeah,
Mid to
and
late April.
yeah, it's the 20th through the 22nd or something like that. So I hope to get there. But anyways, yeah. So there are. I can segue this into the next beer if you would like.
That's a
Uh,
great fucking idea,
let's
Uncle
do it.
PJ. What's patio stand for? I meant to ask you.
It's Patrick John.
Ooh, I figured John. I don't know if I want to guess Patrick. I like it.
The most commonly guessed is probably Paul Jr.
Oh, I wouldn't have said Paul Jr. I would have said Paul John. John would have been definitely my guess for the J. Absolutely. But the P was the asterisk. Like,
Yeah, no. First guess is probably Paul Jr. Second
okay.
is probably Peter James.
Okay.
And it's like 100% wrong on both.
Patrick John. I like it. I like it. Does everybody call you PJ? Does people call you Patty?
Nobody calls me Patty.
Can
It's
I call you
PJ.
Patty? Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
It doesn't. I don't like Pat.
Yeah, it feels like a bit. It's like a mixed gender name. I feel like because I know male and female Pats.
and that's
Patricia, you probably
fine.
say as
But
well.
that's kind of why I'm PJ, because when I was born, It's Pat on Saturday Night Live was popular. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I bet I'll know it if I see it. Right now, I don't recall it.
We shouldn't go in on this because it definitely wouldn't fly in this day and age.
Oh, it's problematic. That's it. Look, fuck, man.
It's
That's
definitely it did not age well.
from the '80s. Okay, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Yeah. I'm from the '80s. It's Pat's probably
As am I.
'80s. Yeah.
It's you know what? If anything's from the '80s, you can't judge it with a 2026 lens. It's completely
We
unfair.
we've learned a lot since then, you know. Uh,
We all have, you know. Do you know
yeah,
what's interesting? Is that the green is very Patrick. Get it? St. Patrick's?
it's true. Yeah.
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 I like that.
Um,
Thank you for telling me that. You didn't have to tell me that. I appreciate you.
oh, no worries.
I will
Now
continue to call
my
you PJ and I won't call you anything else.
now one of your listeners is gonna steal my identity. It's gonna be a whole thing.
It's gonna be I'm like, we're gonna be pulling up in Buffalo. Hi, I'm Patrick.
Yeah.
Um
All right.
this glorious beer is a Citra IPA. Once again, this was just packaged a couple of days before, like basically a week ago.
Yep. This about a week ago.
Oof.
Um,
And it was just so glorious on tap. So I'm excited to try it in the can. And it's all Citra, right?
there is a hint of Nelson Sauvin in it.
Just a hint.
Yep, very
Just a
small
touch.
amount.
Oof,
Of the
look at
total
that.
hop bill, it's probably 2% Nelson.
Oh, okay. Why was that?
Um,
Was it just because?
no, there's a very specific reason. Nelson, and I can't. It's not that I won't. I can't because I don't understand it well enough. There's something to the properties of Nelson Sauvin that they contribute haze,
Oh, okay.
in a way that others
T90s, right?
don't. Yeah, just well, for the Nelsons, just T90s. On the Citra, it's T90, Cryo, and Hyper Boost, which is
Amazing.
a Yakima Chief product, and that is a very intensely concentrated liquid product that's meant for the cold side. There's a
Yes.
similar or related named product called Dynaboost that's meant for the Whirlpool.
Yes.
Um, I like Dynaboost. We've used Dynaboost. There is none in this beer. So this is T90, Cryo, and Hyper Boost. But the Hyper Boost, like in a 40 barrel batch, and I'm gonna uh, split units on you, so I apologize. But in a 40 barrel batch, there's like 100 grams of Hyper Boost, which is a drop, but
Which is nothing, yeah.
it makes a noticeable difference. Um,
Interesting.
yes,
That's good to know. It's
the
pretty intense.
hazies. What's that?
It's intense. These the liquid extracts, the extract
Oh,
products are just
oh yeah,
pretty bonkers, yeah.
it's like smelling salts. Um, yeah.
Oof. Cheers, legend. This is awesome.
Oh yeah,
Bomb. Goddamn. Once again, 6.7, full send. So fresh.
it's
Yes.
very fresh.
I
It
feel it's
had
a
a
little
little.
less murky, less less intense on in a can than it was on tap. The was the
Yeah.
keg the same batch?
Oh
Do you
yeah.
think?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
same batch. I
Yeah.
feel like this is definitely a little more mellow.
It's
The
funny.
cake, yeah.
We'll often let a hazy like this rest in the package for a week before we serve it. And that one we didn't, because when I first tasted it, I didn't think it needed it. And then I tasted it on draft and was like, maybe we should have given it that week. But
I ain't mad at that hot burn, to be honest.
it's not bad.
I
And that's
kind
the
of
thing,
like
like
it.
I do too.
I
We've
feel
had
fucking
others
awesome.
where it needed that time, but
Yeah.
to mellow to the point where it's enjoyable. This one, it's still enjoyable. It's like, yes, that's a little bit of hot burn, but like it is a hallmark of the freshness, and it's fleeting. So, drink it again next week, it'll
Exactly.
be different.
Exactly. And I think hot
Um,
burn is the precursor to longevity in haze.
I
Like
think there's something to that. I think you're right. Yeah.
I've never had a beer like a New England IPA. I don't know about you, bro, but I call myself like the joke is like a date code princess. Like I like 2 to 3 weeks kind of thing on a haze.
I hear you. Yeah,
You
that's
feel
a
me on
sweet
that?
spot. Yeah.
I feel like it's a sweet spot in almost every brew. I always ask like, what's your either sweet spot and then max preferable as the brewer, which is not necessarily always going to come to fruition based on just distribution and logistics and all that stuff. What would be your personal preference for Wayland for your beers is the question. For your beers, personal preference, and then max that you would like one of your customers to consume that beer at on say this beer, whether it's full send or just a beer very similar to this.
Yeah. So any of our hazies, well, there's so Super Deluxe is kind of its own thing because we have that to such a point. It's a super consistent. It's the thing we make the most.
Right.
Um,
Interesting. Damn, I
it's
should try
it's
that.
very consistent once it's in the package, but it's also great day one. So we're actually packaging 40 barrels on Monday, and the
40
majority of it's getting
barrels.
yeah, and the
Jesus
majority of it's
Christ.
getting picked up on Tuesday. Like it'll
Okay.
just be in and out of
Just
our
distro.
place, and then yeah, the next batch behind it. And that beer I don't
I
worry
love
about.
that.
It's good to go day one.
Okay.
Um, and some of the other ones. So Full Send is one of our like kind of rotating one-off IPAs, and there's a bunch. There's another one called Astral. There's Cumulus is one. That one's Nelson Citra. Astral is Strata Mosaic. Um,
I had
we have
Bonza
a
the first time I came that was you and I talked about.
Bonza. Yep,
Fucking fantastic.
yep.
So
There's
good.
Galaxy, Nelson Mosaic.
Yep. Yep. So good.
That one will definitely be back. That was the first time we made it, but we'll definitely make that one again.
I was so happy to see
Um,
that name on a menu. I was telling you, I was like, "This is sick," and I was about to go to Australia. I'm like, I just felt like at home. I was like, "Oh, this is for me. This is the universe. Put
it's a little
this."
send off.
Yeah, it was perfect. I was like, "Oh, I'm in love with this place. This is amazing," and it was like a great use of an Aussie hop alongside some other hops because it was the OG Aussie killer hop that had kind of like fallen by the wayside and now had a bit of a resurgence.
Yeah,
And not only did you bring it back, but you used the wording correctly. And you asked me, did you spell it right? And you absolutely did. And I thought it was money. And I was like,
yeah,
that is sick. That is so
yeah.
sick.
That was a fun one, and that was one we've joked about for a while. Like we should do this, and it was really like, let's make an Aussie kind of summer ale, which it's not called that, but it kind of is.
There is a summer
Um,
ale in Australia. That was a hazy IPA. Summer ale was this when I first went back, it's 10 years ago. My father passed away, so I had to go back. It was the first time. And everything was summer ales and golden ales. This is before they were even into pale ales and XPAs. Golden ale was as you would expect. Summer ale was this weird kind of like what you were talking about. What Bonza was like a what was it 5.5? I think I
five,
can check.
yeah, 5.4, 5.5, something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that. It wasn't like 6. I can check on top tier,
No, it was
but
definitely in the
like
fives.
it was definitely the 5. Yeah, that's what I thought because I got that because I was like, I gotta drive and shit. 5.2. So it's even like which is like a
Yeah,
nice typical pale ale range.
yep.
The summer ales that I remember trying there 10 years ago were just like I didn't even know how to describe a summer ale. It was kind of like a slightly hazy pilsner or something. Like they were a strange beast unto themselves. But is that what you thought they were?
I think I was thinking more like I
Like a
think we brewed
pale?
it. No, it was more the time of year. Like we brewed it in January,
Oh,
which is the
I'm
summer.
so sorry because
Yeah.
there was a thing called a summer ale. when I
I
met
am
there.
aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And
But
like
it
I'd
wouldn't
never
be as
seen it
hazy or as
since. That's
hoppy, right? Yeah.
no, my gosh, no, 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 not even like back then. Particularly Australia was so far behind in 2016, and then I went back in 2018, and things were so much better. 2016, I felt like things were not fire,
Okay.
and then I went back in 2018 and 19, 5, 10x better. Everything was so much better. So Bonza was a fantastic 5.2% pale ale, very similar Merc level to this. It had such a great body and a phenomenal hot profile, whilst being eminently crushable, being not too dissimilar to any of the Waylander is 5.1%, Errant Path is 5% here. Like it's not too
Yeah.
much more than any of the Crispies, but it had so much flavor, and that's
Yeah.
what I was mostly impressed with. And the use of Galaxy, which has that hot burn quality for that longevity, and I think I must have had it when it was pretty fresh. If I think I had it
Yeah.
early
It.
Feb,
I
early
mean,
Feb.
I think we're on our last 2 kegs of it right now, and it's
That would
still
make
pretty
sense.
fresh.
Hell yeah.
Like
It had a bit
yeah,
of hot burn going to it, and I personally am a massive fan of hot burn, so I don't say that in a negative
yeah.
way at all. I think it's like hot burn bite the shit out of me. I love
That one needed a little mellow time.
It's the
Sometimes they do.
Galaxy, dude. It's the Galaxy.
Yeah, it
That hop
was.
is
It
psychopathic.
was.
Yeah.
It is. Uh, it can be amazing or it can be diesel fuel. Um, well, this one, so it's interesting. Most of our hazies, the protein, the haze, we're getting that from oats.
Okay.
Our different variations, but it's Pilsner malt, flaked oats, some malted oats. This is the outlier in that it's almost all wheat. So it's Pilsner malt, and then there's a couple of different types of wheat in it. And I think that does give a slightly different mouthfeel and body and haze presentation. As I mentioned, we do use some Nelson kind of strategically to introduce like a very specific, like it's hard to describe it, kind of like element to the haze. Like to me, this has almost like a luminescent, like milky yellow haze.
Yep.
Um,
Look at that.
and I find that hard to achieve without wheat and Nelson. Um, and I'm sure that it can be, but those are two levers that we pull on this one to get the appearance where we want it. Um, and then
Phenomenal.
beyond that, the T90 Citra that's in there, which really is the lead. Everything else is just supporting that. Um, that is our selected lot. It's the hop that we contract the most of. I probably have like 40 boxes in a year, which would be 800 kilograms.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, but our hopping rates are probably below average. Like we don't use crazy amounts of hops. Um, so there's probably brewers our size that use far more hops than we do. But anyways, ours come from this year Tributary Farms, which is owned by it's a, a farm owned by a larger farm. But when I went out to selection, they put a bunch of lots in front of me, and they were all good. And I really struggled with the Citra because they put them in front of you, and you're just in this room, and you kind of rub them and smell them, and they've got products to clean your hands off and stuff. It's like an awesome experience. Like it's the coolest. But Citra was tough because they all smelled really good, and they all smelled really similar. So on one hand, it's like, well, I can't really go wrong. But on the other hand, like, but which one really do I want? You're smelling whole cone hops that haven't been pelletized
Processed.
yet. And
Yeah.
there is some change that happens there as well. And you're not
Mm.
like stuck with it. If you select and you feel strongly about it that it's the right one, and then you get it and you're like, you get the pellets, 2 months later, and you're like, oh, this is not what I signed up for. Like
Right.
you can usually change. Um, and I knew that some of the other brewers who I knew that were in the room with me had a lot from another farm that was not on the table for me. And I was like second guessing myself. Um, and I said to the rep and I said to my guys, I was like, let's get the first couple of boxes in. If we're not happy with it, we'll investigate swapping it out.
Mm.
And they came in and we cut the first bag open. We all smelled it. It was like, we're not changing a goddamn thing. Like, these are awesome.
Hell
So
yeah.
we've been pretty hype on the Citra and I mean, really everything that we're getting this year, but especially the Citra, we're feeling really good about. So, um,
That's
uh,
awesome.
yeah, this one is, heavily laced with those specific hops, and then just kind of buoyed with that little bit of Nelson and the cryo and the hyper boost. So
Mm. This is a beautiful beer, man. This is so intense. I was gonna say, as we were talking, or as you were talking before, I did like one of those hop burps, and then that, and it comes through your nose. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. It just gave me
yeah,
straight fucking beautiful hop burps.
yeah.
I'm like, there's nothing better than that to me. This is so
I'm
fresh. It's so bright.
I'm also really pleased with this. One of the things that I find really distracting, and I like work hard to avoid, is any sort of alcohol burn. And even around like 7%, you can get it. And
It's
I'm
true.
just like, I'm always kind of, even if I try not to, I'm looking for it, and I'm getting zero, which I appreciate.
Absolutely none.
And granted, it's my beer, but
Well, you should be happy with it because you're probably the pickiest person with it.
probably, yeah.
So I feel like when the brewer's happy with it, I'm like, that's a really good sign that
Yeah,
that beer is something that like is exactly as the company intended, the brewer intended, and I think that's the best possible outcome. This is exceptional. This is I feel like it's slightly less intense on tap, and that could be sorry in the can than on tap, and that could be like that means that keg is gonna fucking be popping for even longer.
oh yeah,
And
yeah.
but once again, I'm getting these crazy hot burns from this. I almost feel like this is right now. This feels like the expression that you were looking for. This is the
I
exact
would say
thing.
so. Yep.
Being a week, maybe less than a week old,
I mean,
it's
it's super bright. I
so
mean, I don't
bright.
know. You might be better with descriptors than me, but
Arguably not. It's got like it's tropical fruit, mango.
yeah,
I feel it's like a pithy citrus, but not but like nice and light. It's not like anything like
yeah.
over the top that's like gonna overtake the palate. I don't feel any real bitterness. If you the only thing is that like very light hop burn, but it's sort of like
Hmm.
very very subtle
And that'll
compared
that'll be
to
gone in a few days. So it's like, enjoy it while
easily.
it lasts. Yeah.
Mm. That's what I was even thinking. I have my second can this weekend. It's it's so bright. It's so creamy. It's aromatic as fuck.
Yeah.
And
It like booms out of the glass.
yeah, it really does. And once again, that hop burn, like if you sorry, not hop burn, the hop burps. If you burp and then it does that sort of like little thing where it turns around and comes out through your nose, I'm like, it's there's nothing more you can really ask for, I think, with
Yeah.
a New England IPA than that. That's my favorite thing ever. And this is so exceptional, dude. I love this so much, and I feel like this really complements the other crispies that we've had tonight and all the other styles that you do. It's so sick to see a brewery that does like lagers and pilsners so well to do haze at this level, and then the Westie as well at that like that new school Westie. I fucking love it. I love it so much, and it's these are the three styles. It's just I don't know. Well, I guess we
Well,
did also the hefe. I don't want to like front on that. While that's
yeah.
not my jam, like I crushed the fuck out of that. Like
I'll tell
that
you.
is
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate all of it. It's not. I don't know. Like, we set out to try to, it's ambitious. We try to do a lot of things and try to do them well. And like I said, we're by no means finished. Like, we still have lots to learn and improve upon, but I am pleased with where we're at as a brewery and the quality of the products that we're putting out.
oh yeah.
And and the range, like, it's difficult, and it's not just me, the guys that I work with, and even the folks who have worked with me in the past that are no longer working there. Everybody's been really committed to just driving the quality forward, and it's been a really interesting process to be a part of, and I've really enjoyed it. And I don't even fully know where we go in the future, like what our beer is going to look like 2 years from now, but like
Hmm.
that's fun. Like,
Yeah.
we get to shape that. I don't Nothing's been decided yet. So it's yeah, I like what we're doing. I like our range of products, and I feel good about them, but it's really nice to hear from somebody who knows their stuff too, and obviously is like made a really serious, um, business and seems like kind of like a cultural institution with this podcast. Obviously you know what you're talking about, so I really appreciate, that you pick up what we're putting down. It feels good to me.
Man, thank you so much. I fuck with you so heavily, dude. Like everything about. I was gonna wrap up this pod when I was saying we want to talk about the food real quick because that's the one thing we didn't talk
Oh
about
yeah,
is to bring it home. But I can't express how much I'm in love with what you guys are doing. I think everything about this is so phenomenal. I can't wait to get you just to put people like when I reached out to you and you were like, "Hey man, I know Orchard Park is a little bit far from like the border. I'll meet you downtown or whatever." Like, no, 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 no. I'm gonna come down to Orchard Park because I want to go back to the brewery because I want to drink and eat there again.
yeah,
And I was super excited to do that. And that was the last trip that we made. And then that was the net. I couldn't wait to get back. And I just feel like it's kind of like the brewery. I can't wait to tell more people about. And this is why I was excited for the pod that you were down to do this, man. Because I just feel like what I had in the first experience from the food and the beer side was so sick, and the experience of the tap room, which we sort of talked about at length with the beautiful atrium and everything, that like, and I haven't even seen it in summer yet. And this is, I
yeah,
feel like this is kind of cool because I wanted to get this out before then to get to plant it in everybody's heads. Like, fucking prepare your buffalo trip, guys, because
yeah,
this is where you need to be in the summer. And I personally can't wait to get down there. And I'm, and going there again, and then and meeting you, and then now having this conversation. I'm more of a fan, if that's even possible, than I was. I just feel like it's just everything from the branding to the experience to the beer, like for the Crispies and the LUKR and the haze. I don't even know what to say. I don't want to try and gas you up too much, but it's exactly what I want to see in a brewery, and the fact that it's in Buffalo and it's right there, and it's just such a fantastic experience, and that clearly people. Well, once again, I only posted a couple of pics the other day from the couple of beers that I had, which was actually this one and the Winterland,
yep,
the Dunkel. Like, people were commenting, people I didn't even know. I'm pretty sure. Like, I fucking love Wayland. I go there all the time or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, hell yeah. Maybe I'll see you there. Like, I just feel like it's so cool for me to see this, and just to hear the story, man. And you got that Aussie connection with Mike
yeah,
in BC there, and the Canadian connection obviously as well. A bunch of folks out here, and you're cool with Will, who obviously knows a
yep,
bunch of folks out here as well. And I don't know.
sure,
I think this is just like a wonderful like cross border connection
yeah,
that what you're doing will speak directly to a lot of craft beer fans out here in Canada, and obviously a lot in New York State, in Vermont, and anywhere else who be traveling out to Buffalo, the Western New York region, generally speaking, and are looking to plan what they're doing this summer. And you're coming up to your 3 years in April,
yep, yep,
which is incredible.
yeah.
Um, what's any thoughts on what's happened in April? Anything, or is there anything you can speak to? Because I know we're in end of March while we're talking about this.
Yeah, so one thing we're working on the last 2 years, we've done we called the Wayland Spring Food and Beer Festival. And
Dope.
this year, and the first year was in April, and then I think last year it was in early May. Um, but this year we decided to do it a little bit differently, and that was like a more typical beer fest. It was ticketed event in our banquet hall.
Okay.
And this year, what we're putting together is more. And that was like a 3 hour long event. You buy a ticket, you come, it's tastings. It's the format everybody knows.
The
And
unlimited type of thing, or the pay
what's that?
as you go. The unlimited ticket or the pay as you.
Y- It was unlimited. Yeah, just
Unlimited.
sampler glass. There were 20
Totally.
producers go around and taste stuff, and that was good. But we wanted to do something different, and we also had a food component to that. So we had some like friends that have restaurants in the area that came and served. So this year, and we're still putting it together, but I believe it's going to be right around our third anniversary, which is at the end of April. And we're going to do kind of the same spirit, but it's a weekend long event in the tap room, and we'll have a bunch of guest beers.
Sick.
some food dishes that are either inspired by or incorporate ingredients from some friends in the industry. Um, like talking to a friend who's a baker about making some rolls for us, and then bringing in some meats from a butcher shop that we're friends with, and like construct a sandwich from those things. And then there's some other fun things that we're working on. But really, instead of having it like a constrained event in a defined space, like, hey, come anytime this weekend. We have all this cool shit. Like, just come check it out as you're able. Um, and I've been the one kind of pushing for that format, and I really like it, and I think it'll be fun. So that's something we're looking to do. Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be the weekend of April 24th.
April 24th. Okay, amazing. That's actually perfect because this comes out next week. So we got a few weeks for
About a
people
month.
to plan
Yeah.
out, about a month to get 3 weeks or so to
Yep.
get out there and do that. Okay, amazing. And I love that. And just the last thing to touch on that we maybe didn't go into in crazy detail was just the quality of the food, eh? Because like you go to a brewery, and I feel like there's, the typical things that you find at a brewery, which absolutely are fire. Wings, burgers, fries, pizza, things like that. Fucking love it. Here for it. Absolutely here for it. I felt like with Wayland, you guys had like another kind of like level of, you have like a very large kitchen, as you mentioned, partially due to the banquet hall.
Hmm.
Um, but you had like I had the fish fry, which actually, to be honest, like I've been in North America a long time. I never had a fish fry like that. I didn't really
Oh,
know what all
really?
the things were. It was funny because after I went to Wayland, I went to Premier Gourmet to just check out. They always have Maine Beer Co. and stuff like that.
Yep.
And they had a thing, they were advertising a fish fry. And I was like, oh, it's the same stuff. It's like the macaroni salad, the the
Oh, yeah.
um
It's a
the
thing.
coleslaw. It's a thing. Like because I
Yeah.
got the non-fried version of it, and like there was
Okay.
like a garlic palm version,
Yep.
and I just didn't know. And I saw someone across had the big ass the fried version. I was like, oh, okay. So you get the fried fish like the British style, but like fish fry is not a thing that I don't know if it's a thing here in Canada. I actually saw it. Do you know what? I take that back. I saw it like yesterday on a brewery here was advertising they're doing a fish fry. And I was looking at the picture. I'm like, oh, it's kind of the same thing. So this fish fry is this different type of North American. I don't know why I've been here so long.
Well,
And
it's a Lent thing. You
a
know
Lent
that?
thing, right? Like a
Yeah.
Easter thing.
Like, yeah, like it. So it's up until Easter, and we do it. It's just Fridays. Um,
Okay.
so if
The
you
Good
came out on
Friday was
Thursday,
obviously next Friday.
no fish fry. Yeah. So and Good Friday's next Friday. So I suppose that would be the last one. Um, but yeah, personally, I don't eat seafood, so I've been told
Oh,
ours
dude,
is very good, but I don't know firsthand. My wife has said it's very good.
it's
Um,
fantastic.
if she gets down with it, but uh, yeah. But yeah, it's the food program is pretty legit, and that makes sense. Like my partners, that's their background, that's what they do. I'm just the beer guy. Um, and it's been fun for me to like get to understand how the kitchen operates a little bit, and I try to get to know the guys in the kitchen. Certainly Chef Jacob, who's in charge of the kitchen, he and I know each other quite well, and he's awesome. But he's got a whole team over there, and those guys grind. They work so hard, but they do. I think the menu's pretty smart for where we're at and what we do and pairing with the rest of it. And they also have to be pretty flexible because what our tapper menu is, there are many times that there's a big wedding going on the other side of the
Yeah.
kitchen, and they're doing, you know, whatever, higher end stuff for, the a fancy sit down wedding dinner, and then, cranking out Detroit style pizzas and frying wings and stuff for the tap room. But a couple things. There's one dish on the menu that's been there from day one. The menu has evolved over the years, but they've got this cashew dip. I don't know. Did you try that?
I didn't try a cashew dip. No, I didn't.
Oh my
I
God.
fucked up clearly.
Uh it's this like creamy cashew dip, and they like soak cashews, and I think it's like chilies and stuff. Rehydrate the cashews, and they blend into this like creamy dip, and it's like
Stop it.
it's consistency. It's thinner than peanut butter. It's not as thick as peanut butter, but it is like
That's some
I
serious
don't
shit.
even know what's in this shit, but it is so good. Um, so I've always like been crazy about the cashew dip, but the Detroit style pizzas are really good. And we're in Buffalo. If you don't have if you have wings and they're not good, like what are you doing? Um,
You're in trouble.
and our
Get out the
wings
game.
were our wings have always been good, but I think the guys have really made it their mission to like make them killer,
Yeah.
um, like and really stand out um, amongst what is like pretty heady competition, and
Yeah.
like the wings are really damn good. Um,
Okay.
so everything, but my kids always want to go there and eat, and it's tough because dad gets pulled off to like it's like, oh, thank God you're here. I need you to help me with this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but they always want to go. We do these chicken nuggets. It's mostly like dark
I
meat.
had them.
Yeah, the
The
thigh meat.
buttermilk,
It's
the
Yep,
buttermilk chicken. Oh, dude, it was so fire
they're
with the
so
little
good.
yellow
And
sauce or whatever it was. What's the yellow
yep.
sauce? Whatever it is.
So pro tip, you can also get those tossed in wing sauce,
Oh,
and
motherfucker, that would be sick.
that's the pro move. That's what I do at least.
It's
But
okay. Next
my
time.
son my son loves those. My daughter always gets a burger. Um, but also like, my partners where they part of where they come from is like farm to table restaurants. And
Hmm.
we always have a couple of salads on the menu that are like super crisp and fresh and local
Mm,
produce, like legitimately farm to table. And I feel like that's what my wife usually goes for when we're there as guests.
right.
She likes everything, but she knows that's gonna be good,
That's gonna
like
be
really,
fire.
really good and kind of up her alley. They always have a kale Caesar that's always killer. Um, so yeah, the food is always a lot of fun. They do a sandwich special every week, so um, I try not
It's
to
so
take
good.
advantage of it too much and
Yeah.
like comp myself too many meals. But
I was gonna say
usually,
it'd be a problem.
yeah, usually Fridays at lunch I'll get myself something and sometimes something to
Yeah.
share with the guys in the brewery. But uh, yeah, the food at Wayland is as much a draw as anything else for sure.
Oh, I couldn't even express. Both times Tiff got the chicken souvlaki
Okay, yeah,
thing with it was just it's so like fresh and bright and
yep,
like really well cooked. I got the fish fry this last time, and the time before I got the fuck. What was it? There was something I think I told you was for the because we were there for the Olympics, not intentionally, but we were there for the Olympics opening
okay,
ceremony, and there was something sick that I got that was like taco. Was it tacos or something?
could be.
Could have been some tacos, but then
They
the last
did
time,
like a Olympic menu, like
yeah,
different
there was an
countries
Olympic menu,
represented. Yeah,
and some of them were like time limited because we always get there like right before like that 4 p.m. changeover. But the on Friday last week we got the nuggets and they were like we just like a little something to share and I was like oh
yeah,
it's just and then the dessert. So we were there and they were like oh PJ wanted to send over you because you'd left and it was like
yeah,
these it was like in a half shell Easter egg and it was like
yep,
ice cream covered in like chocolate syrup and I think like chocolate chips.
yeah.
So I'm like, it
Dude,
was just,
yeah.
it was bonkers. I was so we didn't eat dinner. We came back and we didn't have dinner. We just had some drinks and watched some shit. Like it was so good, bro. Like
Oh yeah.
the dessert was absolutely bonkers. It was so exquisite. Everything it's unheard of from a brewery perspective, and I think that's kind of part of the attraction for us for Wayland. Where I just feel like it's gone so far over and above, and I feel like it's fine breweries there's an expectation of once again burgers, wings, fries, pizza, stuff like that, which I think is fire and it works so well with beer. And you guys have just taken it to another level, which matches the aesthetic of the brand and which matches the tap room and everything that you're offering. And it's just it's one of the best experiences of breweries that I could possibly recommend to anybody. And it's that's why I reached out, man. It was just so impressive from
Thanks.
off the rip from the first time and the second time. I was like, yeah, this is exactly the same as this last time, which is exactly why. And I'm very glad that we just met PJ and that we're doing a pod in a few days. Like
Yeah.
it's so dope, man. I'm so impressed. You should be proud, man. You guys all should be proud as fuck from everything. And it's so sick that your partners are in the restaurant world so that you're able to handle the beer side and make that as absolutely incredible as it can. You've got some people who are from the design side and from the restaurant side that just like can handle it and you don't have to worry about it and you can just make the best possible beer that you can, which obviously you're doing and excelling at. And it's I don't know, it's just so cool. I'm so glad I discovered it is what you're doing. And I can't wait for more people to experience it and to get the fuck down and just to hang out and just. We just sat there. We posted up in like the full corner and just watching everybody just fill up. We got there. There wasn't, like, what time did we meet? Like 3-ish or something like
You
that.
were there about
3:30?
3:45. Yeah.
Exactly. And then I just watching it just fill up slowly over
Yep.
the next like 2 to 3 hours. So I'm just like, it also gave me faith. And I think I said this to you that, like, in a time where everybody's a little bit like, I don't want to say the word negative, but like, not
Pessimistic.
pessimistic. Thank you so much about craft beer. And I'm like looking around. I'm like, there is 20, 30 people in this vestibule waiting to, and dudes had beers in their hands, like full fucking pints
Yeah.
while they're waiting and chilling and talking. And I just kind of felt, I'm like, oh, we're sitting here just like finishing our beers and eating all this food and stuff. They were waiting for tables to empty up so that they could go and sit down.
Yep.
I'm like, this is exactly what I want to see in craft beer. And it was so deeply encouraging. And it's like, okay, well, why is this working for Wayland? And I wonder, I'm sure there's a number of factors, and it's probably all the above, from the space to the food to the beer to the other offerings as well. If it's just so cool in a time when everyone's like, fuck, man, everyone's closing, like, everything's so rough. I'm like, but dude, I'm sitting here and I'm watching. There was like 20, 30 people waiting for fucking seats to sit at a brewery. I was in awe, and I thought it was absolutely wonderful, and it was one of the coolest things I've seen in a while.
Well, thanks, man. I don't know. I honestly have trouble taking compliments, but yeah, but I think it helps that they're not all for me personally. So I really appreciate it, and
a lot of them are for you personally, though, to be honest. This liquid
not
is absolutely bonkers, but yes.
Well, thanks. Yeah, no, and certainly like things are going pretty well for us, but like we've had our challenges, and it's everybody's working hard, and in part to like realize the vision that a bunch of us shared and like set out to execute upon. So yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk with you and about all of it. And I knew as soon as we started exchanging Instagram messages and text messages, it was like, oh, this is gonna be fun. Like we got so much like to talk about, so much in common, and this has been great. It's been super fun, and I'm glad you found us, and I really appreciate all of the kind words, and we're just gonna keep cracking at it and trying to do the best we can, and yeah, man, yeah, thank you.
Man, least I can do, dude. Like, you're doing incredible things, and I think people need to know about it. So thank you again for taking the time and being down and to chat and showcasing what you guys do, man. I feel like anybody who watches and listens would be really excited about what it is that you're doing. So I hope if anyone is local or coming to the area, going to swing by, I couldn't recommend it more highly. It's incredible. So, man, brother, thank you so much for taking the time, for hanging out tonight. It's been pushing on 4 hours. We be yapping.
I told you I'm a world-class gabber.
That's what you said to me. You did say that, and I was like, "You've come to the right place, sir. We got you.
Yeah.
We got you." So stick around. We'll finish up off air. Where can everybody find Wayland online and in real life?
Yeah, so in real life, we're at 3740 North Buffalo Street in Orchard Park, New York. If you happen to go to a Buffalo Bills game, we're like a little over a mile from there, so pretty close. Instagram's probably the best place to follow us. If you do Instagram, we're just at Wayland Brewing. Also on Twitter or X, whatever it is, and Facebook as Wayland Brewing and waylandbrewing.com, and that's spelled WAYLAND.
Brewing.com, and you can go on there. You can find out everything what's going on. You can follow on social and find out what the new beers are. You can book events. You can do everything from there. So that's amazing. PJ, stick around. We'll finish up off air. But brother, thank you so much for taking the time, for hanging out and sharing these beers tonight, man. I really appreciate you, folks. If you enjoyed the episode, smash the thumbs up, hit subscribe below, hit that notification bell so you know when the new drops. Follow us everywhere at BAOS Podcast. Check out Wayland Brewing, obviously at Wayland Brewing on Instagram and everywhere else. Check out the long form audio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars, not for us, goddammit, for Uncle PJ and for Wayland Brewing and for Buffalo, New York. And we will see you legends in the next one. Cheers, y'all.